All right, before we get started, there is a lot going on in the world right now. We want to acknowledge that, but this is our happy place, and we can't wait to talk about what did Prince do this week. And I'm also super excited because we have the one and only, there will never be another Michael Dean with us.
What's up? What's up, honey? Turn that up. Turn that up.
Is that I want to make sure they can hear us because sometimes they have the music too loud.
That's what I guess. I wish we would have seen some visuals of this because the sort of, I don't know what this is like in my mind. It's a kind of the Puerto Rican, Caribbean, whatever that other side of Prince that you hear in the records, but you don't ever get to see him really vibe into it. I get to just see him walking. Hey.
Yes. So this is actually one of the songs we're going to talk about today for the reading. So that's one of the reasons why we're playing this. So
This also is the same vibe I would get in Sign of the Times. That one part on I Can Never Take the Place of a Man. You know, at the end part when they
right.
This that same. You know, it's like you could see he got it in him and shit. Okay. Anyway.
All right. C. Lee, how are you this day?
As my granddaddy said, I'm vertical. As long as I'm vertical, I'm good. Is when I get horizontal is what I worry about it. So I am happy to be here hanging out with everybody.
Hey.
That's right. All right. So let's do a roll call with the quickness. We got April Watson first in the chat, and I'm so happy StreamYard has finally gotten this right because sometimes previously, if I would go live, the people who had posted beforehand would get obliterated, but now it is like accurate. So April Watson was first in the chat, and we got the Electric Vibe podcast sneaking in before going to work. Love this, and we're going to talk about a couple of episodes from the Electric Vibe that I think you should be watching if you haven't already. It's one of the shortest songs ever, so we're going to play that one more again because it's so short. It's just like 2 minutes and something. Yeah, one more time. And then we got Boombox Guru in the house. We got Realign the DJ. I can't tell what's your avatar this week. Sledgehammer?
Sledgehammer. He's coming with head busters.
Who had the song? Who's the dude had the song? Yeah, that one. I wanna be your sledgehammer.
That was cut.
You got it. So is that Peter Gabriel?
Yeah, Peter Gabriel. And what was the group Peter Gabriel was in before?
Genesis?
Yes, there we go.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was in Genesis.
With Phil Collins?
Yep, with Phil Collins.
Yeah, and so is this for Peter Gabriel, Realign the DJ? Because I don't recognize his cover at all. All right, we got Drea Dances. Thank you so much, Drea Dances, for joining us last week.
Yes.
If you missed that, you want to make sure that you watch last week's episode. And I want to say thank you for getting me finally over 600 episods. So 600 views, I meant. I couldn't believe it.
Oh.
So Drea Dances, I think it's because of you and Tammy. So I really appreciate you being here. And then we have Cassandra Bradley and AT Alien. And I love our Saturday meetup. Are you in the gym? And I think, Cassandra, you'd be happy to know, I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but I've started going to the gym.
Ooh, all right.
Started going to the gym. So thank you, Cassandra, for being
What you doing in the gym?
inspiration. Just the elliptical.
Okay.
Moving my arms and my legs.
Work it out now.
Yeah, working it out.
Take care of them knees and them joints.
Are you listening to anything while you?
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned it. So, Celie, you know what I'm listening to?
What?
I'm listening to the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe five Saturdays. Just because we are talking about some of the same songs right now in Dwayne's book. So it's just been like a blast going back, because Nicolay was with us, and you know how opinionated Nicolay is. And so it's just been really great. And to also see that my opinion of songs hasn't changed, because sometimes they do. So I've been listening to that. And one day I did listen to Flying Lotus. So because I like instrumentals and, Flying Lotus is all about instrumentals. So our timekeeper is in the house, and we got Anna B, $3.99. Go ahead.
I will say that that's the one thing I can't do. I jog 4 mornings. I get up every morning at 5 a.m. I'm jogging. I can't listen to music while I jog. And,
Really?
and I can't because, to be quite honest, and I say this, and I've been jogging most of my adult life. And people know that on March 1st, 2009, I weighed 307 pounds and had a 52-inch waist. So I lost 90 pounds and 14 inches in my waist. And so I exercise religiously 4 mornings, but I hate it. And the music, I can't get on beat when I'm jogging. Like the music irritates me because all I'm doing when I'm jogging is wanting to finish. Like that's all I want to do. So I applaud people who find ways to make exercise fun. Brother Dean, that hour and a half for me, I'm working it like a job. It's a job that I hate, but I like the results because I don't want to have diabetes. I don't want to have heart issues. And that's the only reason I do it. So I set up. So for those of you who are finding ways to make exercise fun, I applaud y'all because exercise actually should be fun. That's the one thing that we get wrong. Exercise, because if we make it fun, more people will do it. So don't be like me. I do get a lot of results, but I want everybody in the chat, everybody who watches this, find a routine that you love, that you enjoy, and most importantly, that you can do it with somebody you love and enjoy, and you'll get more results. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
All right. So I want to say hello to some more people because I haven't been here in a while. So just be patient with me with this housekeeping. First of all, Christina, I love this. After a long week at work, I am grateful for what Prince do this week. So am I. And Celie and Michael Dean, I think you can both attest. Like sometimes I don't want to come on because I'm tired or whatever. But then once I get here, I'm like, yeah, this is what I needed. It actually is really, really important. So thank you for that.
It's actually that you said that because this morning when I was getting ready, because I always have a few like workshop things or something I'm doing on Saturday. And to be quite honest, this is one of the things that I do during my week that I enjoy doing. Like this is one of the things, and I look forward to the chat. Of course, we look forward to discussing Prince. So but I enjoy hanging out with y'all. And I will say I'm not the greatest hang. I will admit I'm like not the greatest hang. I'm terrible. I'll tell you what I'm terrible with. What's it called? It's not called light talk. What is it called when you just meet people and you're out in public? What's it called? It's called not light talk. Small talk. Like I am the worst. I'm the worst at like how's the weather today? I don't give a damn. So I want to say this is my regular hang with people that I enjoy. Okay, going back to saying hey to people.
All right.
Get it out, brother.
So I love this also from Rockabosh. Rockabosh knows how to do it. They got their DoorDash in time to start this beautiful day. That's what I'm talking about.
Would you get it, Rockabosh? What's the DoorDash? What did Prince do this week meal?
There you go.
Yeah, we want to know. Yeah. And we got Sister Charles in the house. We have our good friend Rodney Fitzgerald.
What's up, Rodney?
Anna B, if you don't like the world you're living in, take a look around. At least you got friends.
There you go.
I love that.
Exactly.
We got Gabrielle. I'm back from the future. It's Sunday, 2 a.m. in Australia. That is commitment, Gabrielle. And I know that you're here every week. We so appreciate you so much. And we got Duke Swan in the house. We got Detroit. What up, though? Andre Staley. And I wish Big Sexy was here because I love the way he said, what up, though, last week.
There you go. Oh, it was wonderful the way he broke it down.
Yes.
I can hear him. What up, though? What's dough?
He did it very lightly. It was like British style.
What up, though?
Yeah, it was like that. Yes.
I do a little Sedidian.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It was total Sedity. Okay. Ooh, Rockabosh is making me hungry. I got some chocolate pancakes, eggs, and biscuits from my local pancake. That's what I'm talking about. Rockabosh. That's
chocolate pancakes. That is my daughter Gracie's meal. Chocolate pancakes, macaroni and cheese, and eggs. And just
Great.
Right on, Rocka. That's a meal. That's what's up.
What's funny is because of my routine, I don't eat breakfast because my breakfast is always a V8 and a protein bar. But if I eat breakfast food, I eat it on the weekend for dinner. So like I have eggs and breakfast. So I only eat breakfast food on the weekend for dinner and I probably do it like once a month. So all right, that's it.
So while you're there, I got Nick Felder saying Seeley is wearing Versace.
No, brother Felton. We were actually just having this conversation. Somebody gifted this to me because they said they looked like something I would wear. And I didn't wear it for a long time because I have a history of not wearing name brand stuff. In fact, if you knew me in my 20s and my 30s, 80% of what I wore was clothes I had made. Like I was following Prince off. Like I didn't wear something that if I didn't have him. So most of those shirts y'all see me wear, I had those shirts made. All of my black pants that y'all see me wear, I had those made. So in my 20s and my 30s, I wasn't wearing anybody else's clothes. If Seeley McInnes didn't draw them and have somebody design them, I wasn't wearing nobody else's clothes. So it took me about a year or so to wear this shirt because I wanted to make sure it wasn't a name brand. But like I told them, show you how stupid I am. My wife said, "Hey, fool, you can just read the tag." So the tag does not say Versace. But I appreciate you, Nick Felton. All right, I'll shut up.
All right. I am so excited. Not only do we have the one and only Michael Dean, we also have the one and only, but more than one, music snob in the house.
I heard you were coming back. I heard you were coming back today. I heard you were no longer on assignment.
What's up, Walker?
Back.
Mike, I heard you were. I was hoping you would come back.
So, wait, I didn't hear, but
I must say,
you got to come back home, man.
Yes. And you're always welcome. You always got to come back home, and you're always welcome because we are in that 200 episode. We're so close. We're getting so close to 200 episodes.
I thought Brother Dean was gonna break in cousin Chaz from Prince Unauthorized. Remember at the end of Unauthorized, he was like, "What Prince got left to do?" And Chaz like, "Gotta come back home."
Oh,
that's the only thing left. Gotta come back home. So I was thinking about brother cousin Chaz.
And I love this comment from Theo. Welcome, Theo. I just know C. Lee is looking fly SH in his custom ensembles.
Right.
Appreciate you, brother Theo.
That's right. And I love this from Rockabosh. Nothing off the rack for C. Lee. That's what I'm talking about.
Now look at until I got a mortgage. And then when I got a mortgage, I didn't make I didn't get no more clothes made after I got a mortgage.
Oh my goodness. All right. Everybody's making me hungry. Purple Cat Confetti went with a bacon egg burrito this morning and not waffles. Okay. And I love
somebody go ahead.
I love this from LTKK. A nice breakfast sandwich and what did Prince do this week is what I look forward to weekly. Take it away, Michael Dean.
No, you're gonna get to the comments. Somebody brought up grits.
Oh yeah.
Carol. Yeah, that's my family.
There you go. Come on, grits. Come on, grits.
There you go.
And let me say something because I know I'm gonna piss off half the chat. You people who be putting sugar in your grits, that's unnatural. It is unnatural to put sugar in your grits. It's salt and butter. Let's move on.
Salt, pepper, and butter. There you go.
All right. So, okay. So we got a full house here. And I know I didn't say hello to everybody, but just please know I am so excited that all of you are here with us every week. And let's get through the housekeeping with the quickness. And I am just so excited. I don't know what to do with Michael Dean and Arthur and C. Lee. Okay, so this is week 30 of What Did Prince Do This Week in 1986. This is a very slow read of Dwayne Tudall's Prince Studio Sessions book series. And we also have a Saturday salon. And we're going week to week, not date to date. And for those of you who want to get your books out and get your page ready, we are reading Sunday, July 20th, 1986. Sunday, July 20th, 1986 through Friday, July 25th. And you can see the schedule here if you want to get started for next week as well.
I thought you were about to break into a Bobby Darin song when you hit that Sunday. I was like, damn, Bobby Darin in the house? What's going on?
Okay, you do not need the paperback to participate, but that's the one that has the most updated info. Where you at, Arthur? Where you at, Arthur? Where are you? Arthur's like, I ain't got time to be holding up no book. Okay. And we need you to hype Thank you, Michael Dean, because I didn't know anything about hyping until you were on last time. Liking and subscribing. So as Ricky would say, if you would just hit the like button as you come on in, just take a second to hit the like button. I'm trying to get over 600 episodes, and we've made it with the past couple. Recently, the last one, and not the week before, but 2 weeks ago, we made it past 600. So you warm my heart. You could just get over 600. I'm not asking a lot, and your likes will help us get there. Now, why do we want to do this? One, we want more people to read Dwayne's book, learn more about Dwayne's book, and we want to make sure we get 87, 88, 89, 81, 82, anything Dwayne wants to do. So we want to show Dwayne how grateful we are. But even more than that, we want to celebrate what Prince did every week to let people know it was not magic, it was hard work. And more people need to know all the songs that Prince wrote and everything about his work ethic. So that's the reason why I want you to like and subscribe if you don't mind. Okay.
And because there's a lot, YouTube has kind of exploded with a lot of people doing different things and takes on Prince, and that's cool. I don't know about y'all, but I'm always amazed at like how much of it is wrong. Like just like bad information. And again, God bless the people that's, you'll see these little shorts in it, but so I think these books are important. And I think what Prof. Duff has curated, just because, to use a Prince word, the truth. Because there's a lot of like just misinformation and things like that. So I think it's important because these books and what you guys do, particularly what you three have done as podcasters, and all three of y'all are great in your own right as podcasters. The number one thing that I love about each one of y'all and the people in the chat is that y'all get out the truth. So if nothing else, hit like, hit subscribe, share, because one day when we're all gone, what will be left on YouTube and left on all these spaces will be how much truth versus how much misknowledge is out there about Prince. I'll shut up.
So you mean to tell me the video I watched, it was Prince goes out with bubbles is fake?
I'm not gonna. Y'all know, people who know me know I love Jackson State. Jackson State is, I'm a second generation Jackson State. I actually ended a friendship with a Jackson State person because on her podcast she told a lie about Prince. Damn, and when I sent her email and I said, "Hey, this is not true. You need to go back on your podcast," because she gets like about 1,000 views a week. Like, so she's getting a lot of views a week. And I said, "Hey, this is not true. Could you change this?" She's like, just blew me off. I unsubscribed from her, took off my newsletter. We ain't got nothing else to do with each other. So I hope she's paying her alumni dues like I'm paying my alumni dues. That's it. Let's move on.
Damn, breaking up families and friendships.
So a couple things, Purple Cat Confetti, Michael Dean, because you're going to correct me, it's on mobile only, the hype button.
Oh, is it? It might be, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, I think the hype button is on mobile only. So if you're on a desktop or laptop, Purple Cat Confetti, you may not see it. And if I read correctly, and I could be wrong, like you can only hype one video per day. I didn't really do too much reading into it because you know how much I'm into the social. So if someone knows more information than I do, please say it in the chat. Now, there's some grit comments that I missed, so I want to go back to the grit. So,
oh, Lord.
So, because
we better get to some Prince now.
Well, grits are important. So Cassandra said, grew up in St. Louis, never heard of grits until I moved to Atlanta in 1981. Melvin loved sugar in their grits.
Brother Rush.
Melvin, come on,
hold on, Brother Rush.
We're gonna break up our friendship, Melvin.
brother Rush. They're not grits. That's oatmeal. Anytime you put grits, you put sugar in it. That's oatmeal.
Now you over there eating Zoom, brother.
And then Chris Bournet says their grandmother is from Alabama, would beg to differ about the grits. She puts salt, butter, and sugar in grits. Now, I was born and raised in Alabama, and I know no one who puts sugar in their grits. So I wonder what part of Alabama.
I will admit there are some Southern people who put sugar in their grits, and I tell them, be gone. I rebuke you in the name of all that's funky.
I'm coming over, Kim.
I love this.
All
So,
right.
if for those of you who go to Atlanta or visit Atlanta, Thumbs Up is an amazing chain of restaurants, and I'm thrilled to hear that Kim is getting some fish and grits. Maybe she'll be kinder on us with the timekeeping. And then someone, I can't remember, I can't find it now. Oh, here we go. Anna B talked about
Cream of
cream of wheat and
Cream of wheat oatmeal.
Anna B.
and
Yeah. Look at, like I said, I ain't got nothing against the oatmeal people. If I love oatmeal people, but it's like, why put sugar in your grits when you can have oatmeal?
And then someone else posted, I can't find it, but someone else posted about cream of wheat and said that that's where you put your sugar. And I agree with that.
There we go.
I agree with that comment. Okay, we're going to move on. All right.
Let me just say, everybody who eats grits on here, we officially, you're my people.
There you go.
We're
there
connected.
You go. No matter how you eat,
I'll let the sugar slide a little bit, but the fact that you're on your grits, we together. So
there you go.
I love this from down in Dixie. I'm from Birmingham, and I would never put sugar in. That's what I'm talking about.
Quick question to both of y'all. You ever mix your bacon and your eggs up in your grits?
Listen.
Oh no.
Listen. Before we hijack this podcast, the official meal, at least for me, for this show, like every time I get off of this, I go walk around here, bacon, eggs and bacon, mob it all up.
That's it.
Butter, salt, and pepper. I'm good.
Yeah,
that's a Dean meal right there.
Mix your eggs with your grits. Mix your eggs with your grits.
Yeah.
I do that every day if I could.
Well, you can.
I ain't lying.
I love this. A breakfast can wait. That's right. Okay, let's keep it moving. So
21 minutes. I hear you, Kim.
Is it 21 minutes? Oh my God. But we only got 3 dates this week, so we're fine. What did Prince do this week is not affiliated with the Prince Estate. I know it's not called a Prince Estate, Prince Legacy LLC, and Primary Wave. This is an independent endeavor. It's the main point we're trying to make. And this is really important. Our community guidelines, we choose to be a community even when we disagree. We started off the top of the hour 22 minutes ago with Easy Does It, which is something we'll talk about this week in the reading on 1991's Times Square by Eric Leeds. And you got Eric Leeds on flute, tenor sax, piano, synthesizers, Atlanta Bliss on trumpets, Prince on guitars, and Larry Frantangelo on timbales, conga, and clave. I never know. And it's mixed by Eric Leeds. Thank you for that, Arthur. And we are week 30, episode number 182. We're on a countdown to 200, only 18 to go before. Yes, sexy. All right. So this week, there were 3 studio sessions and 4 new songs. And if we look at it, he was in the studio on Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday. On Sunday, there were some edits and crossfades of the Dream Factory album with a mix of Sound and Times for possible inclusion on a Dream Factory album. And then on Tuesday, we have what I call Not Soul. I should have put Not Soul Psychodelicide. It's basically the version that we got on Sound and Times Deluxe. I call it ice cream because for me, there's only one Soul Psychodelicide, and this ain't it. And then there's an untitled Dixieland instrumental, as well as horn overdubs, as well as horn overdubs. It was not called Easy Does It today in 1986. It was just like an untitled instrumental, but it's one of the songs that Eric Leeds took and did his magic on it and included it on Times Square. And then on Friday, there's tracking of The Ball, overdubs and mix, as well as mixing from the Detroit show we'll find out when we read. So let's get this reading started. Who wants to go first? I am going to volunteer Michael Dean just because you're already in my square. So
which page are we at?
We are at July 20th. Sunday, July 20th.
All right. Dream Factory compilation, edits and crossfades, Sign of the Times mix, Sunset Sound, Studio 3 p.m., 12 midnight. Booked 3 p.m. open. Producer was Prince, artist was Prince, and the engineer was Coke Johnson. Quote or no quote?
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. It was really a song a day coming out of the studio. You'd show up for work and he'd be playing another new, brilliant song. It just never seemed, it seemed never ending. Concepts for albums were almost coming as quickly as the songs. And just about every creative aspect of Prince, the musician, was represented and updated with Sign of the Times. Alan Leeds. All right. Sign of the Times was a powerful song. In fact, strong enough to eventually be the title song for the collection. But at this point, it was just a standout track on a collection of exceptional music. Once the song became the focal point, the tone of the entire release would change. But for now, it was still a track that needed work. So during this session, Prince updated the mix for the song, which likely faded out the track, creating the shorter version before adding it to the Dream Factory compilation. After 9 hours of work on Sign of the Times and several crossfades for the album, a single C60 cassette was made of the updated collection. Prince flew home to participate in the rehearsals for the Revolution, with the Revolution for the remaining shows that summer.
All right. So in the paperback, I don't know if it's different for, it says C90 as opposed to C60, but
Right.
it doesn't matter because.
Oh, you know what it does say? Sorry about that.
Yeah, because.
Funky dyslexic.
Oh, no worries. Big Sexy was talking about how cheap these tapes were last week.
The C90.
So
Yes.
you know, reading these has made me realize and wonder if I want to do this. So, like y'all, I have, you know, all the different compilations of the albums: Dream Factory, Camille. What's the third one? Dream Factory, Camille. Give me the other one. Crystal Ball. So I have all these, and I've listened to them on various playlists. Like I do my different playlists. But I'll tell you what I've never done. I've never listened to them as the intended individual albums they were meant to be. And it's made me think about wanting to go back and do that, because I've never done that. One, because I've just been so happy with what Sign of the Times is. I think Sign of the Times is a perfect thing. And two, as you know, when we were getting these bootlegs, we weren't getting them like, you know, we were kind of getting them on different random tapes and random. So reading this now, I do have an inkling to kind of go back, maybe just, you know, for like once in a lifetime thing, to kind of play them just as they are, even though I've heard them for, you know, all these years. That's it. So that's what these readings do for me. It makes me go back and revisit things that I may not have normally done before. And that's a really big plus for me going through these readings. That's it.
So one of the things that your comment brought up, when I rewatched the episode from last week, first of all, that was like an amazing episode, because I have to say on the record, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I will say this 1,000 times more, that Joy and Repetition is my favorite Prince song, bar none. With, you know, on some days, maybe sexuality, but for a whole different reason. But in my heart of hearts, it's Joy and Repetition. And so I really love the conversation around that. But one of the things that really stood out to me is, Celie, and you just said it just now, is your comment that Sign of the Times is the album that should have been put out, you know, as compared to Dream Factory, Crystal Ball. And, you know, and you said with the exception, I want to say it was Slow Love, right? Or somebody else said that.
That would have been me.
That would have been Mr. Turnbull.
Yes, because I absolutely agree with that, Arthur. Like it would be perfect if you would remove Slow Love. But with that aside, I would have rather gotten Crystal Ball.
But if you remove Slow Love, you never get.
He gonna do that regardless live. He gonna find it live.
What is that?
That's Slow Love Live, baby.
Oh, okay.
Odd that I'm the only one that picked that up.
I got it. Yeah.
I know, Celie, you really should. I mean, the super deluxe of Sign of the Times is so brilliant, because it's, you know, it's like 3-4 albums in one, depending on how you configure it and reconfigure it. but the final track release of Dream Factory, and I agree, Sign of the Times is the one. I think that's Prince editing, self-editing at its best. But that 3-record Dream Factory sequence it's really a weapon, because there's stuff on there that would completely blow people's minds.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah.
Expert Lover alone is headbuster. Copyright
That would have changed the tone.
And the thing is, I mean, obviously I'm Gen X, so it's like, I was privileged to live through this period, but so I wonder what fresh ears of a 20 or 30-year-old, if they have the same reaction as me when you consider what you've heard of Prince, which would have been all the released records, all the catalog, and then you throw this in there, and then you learn that, oh, he was doing this while he was releasing Parade. In fact, what's even more mind-blowing is you've got 3 albums on deck before you tour the current album that's released. That's what kind of messes me up as I was learning how all of these things come together over the last couple decades, is that the compartmentalization game, really, of Prince, the way his mind worked, to be able to be just as invested in what he's no longer interested in, which is the Parade music, because he's now putting out this stuff that is miles away from Parade, but especially Around the World in a Day and Purple Rain, which the public, the in real time 1986 public is still locked into. We're still reacting to Prince, a version of Prince based on a film that no longer exists. Right. He's off over here with it. Right. And I do wonder if fresh ears, today, within the last 5 years, have that same kind of reaction just from the standalone song. Forget everything else I said about all this context and stuff, but just be like, whoa. There's like 9-10 minutes of it. And that, in the version that's on the Sign of the Times release, there's a longer version than that, that exists. But I do feel that with Dream Factory, I love What Ifs. I know Michael does too, because he's a Marvel fan. I love What Ifs, and the idea of Dream Factory actually releasing theoretically in the fall or early winter of 1987 would have completely forced the issue of Prince and the Revolution being completely divorced from whatever you thought about them in Purple Rain. It's a whole nother unit, almost scary.
Right.
Really, if you think about what else was going on in 87. And there was a lot going on in late 86, 87. Janet, the Sting second album, Terrence Trent D'Arby, Peter Gabriel So album. There was like, let me just get Civil Water. It was just a lot going on. I mean, it's just an incredible track list. And Celia, you really should just sequence that on out, take a walk around the block, come back in fresh, and just, is Monica gone? Is she still out?
No, they got back. What did they come back? Wednesday. I thought they would come back till they came home.
Well, I'm sure she'll leave the house again. That being said,
there you go.
I'm sorry, where's he going with that?
There you go.
Get naked and then run through the house.
And just to his point though, put that up there. Put that's one, because for those of y'all who wasn't bootleg collectors like us in real time, for about 9 years, the song was Expert Lover. People can say what they want to, but for 9 years, for however long you had all the bootlegs, didn't nobody call it Crystal Ball. In fact, to this day, I still have to remind myself that it's Crystal Ball, because the goddamn song started out Expert Lover. That's how it started off. So yeah, and to your point, that's the one thing I do think about, right? If that's on Sign of the Times, Like
Right.
that. And for me, I have Crystal Ball and Dream Factory sequenced back to back. Like I can't listen to those two songs without each other. Like they are a supplement for me. So I'm with you on that. That for what we thought, because people forget in real time, in truth, Sign of the Times was kind of mind blowing for a lot of people, right? If you come out Purple Rain, then Parade, and Under the Cherry Moon, the Sign of the Times Prince. So, like you said, adding those other songs would have really been a far shoot away from what people thought Prince was at that time. So, no, I agree with you 100%.
I just wanted to add, I think with the Sign of the Crystal Ball, a Dream Factory, based off of what you guys were saying, I think that those albums, and this will probably be 20 years from now, but so when you talk about fresh ears, I think you need a whole different generation in a sense to see it in a whole different way. And I could see way later the estate or whoever's in charge, they done ran through all the albums. We're gone at this point, it's a whole different. It'd be interesting to see how Prince is seen after it's sort of his initial fan base has sort of moved on. But I could see way later in the same way. It reminds me of like when Shuggy Otis had his resurgence. I knew nothing of Shuggy Otis. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of heard people bubbling, talking about it. I don't remember. There was some. It was a white rock star who I kind of heard when the resurgence of that came out. He was one of the people that was really kind of pushing it. I can't think of who that is. But it was that album, when his album sort of resurged. And when I heard it, it was a head buster to me. Like I was like, yo, what is this? Is something from a different time. Of course, my Prince mind, I can hear the connections. He had to be listening to this, blah, blah, blah. But it became one of my favorite albums. And I reminded myself, because I was listening to some Beyonce the other day, don't ask me why. But like her first album, Shuggy is on that, right? Like she sings over one of those songs on there, and one of the songs he's got writing credits that I don't even, maybe it's being sampled or something. But in the same way, here's another artist has nothing to do with it, totally disconnected, and has sort of adapted that into her debut album to make it what it is. I could see the same way years from now, somebody's like, yes, Sign of the Times you've heard of before, but here's what he originally was going to do. And it would be so separated from us that we don't judge it the way, well, there was this configuration. They'll just hear it as some new, and it'll be like, whoa, there's nothing out today that sounds like this, but this is fantastic. And this maybe not the Prince that was always sort of shown to them before, but this is like, yo, what is this? And I could see somebody later on being blown away and that be their entry point into Prince. Like that album right there is fantastic. So go ahead.
Well, no, I see Steve Lacy as really Prince coded in his music. Steve Lacy, The Internet, had a jam Bad Habit that blew up.
You talking about
last year?
Okay, I've been hearing about these guys. I have not listened to their music.
I really like Steve Lacy.
Okay.
Yeah, his second, he's dropped EPs, and he's like, first of all, he's great. Young,
is this I'm sorry, was this like a young
LA.
lady in that group, like Sid or something? Or
yeah, in The Internet, yeah. Sid, Matt Martians.
I blind listened to that album the other day. Never heard nothing. I just
Thundercat's little brother. Yeah, on bass. Bass or guitar. I think he plays guitar.
Real quick, there's a video of her I just saw yesterday. They're betting her $100 to name Prince songs or something. Has anybody else seen this? And she seemed to be stumbling a little bit. That's why I was like, what the fuck is this? A musician?
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm not shitting on her.
I really like him, and it's not about he's the next Prince, and it's not about I'm projecting Prince. It's almost just it's almost more of kind of like a study, if you will, and that's why I say more like coded, but he's his own artist, like he's doing his music, his second studio album. He just released an album a couple weeks ago, a new one called Oh Yeah. But the album I'm referring to particularly is an album called Apollo 21, and the 21 is written in Roman numeral numbers. And if you look at the cover of it, it's Sign of the Times coded.
Okay.
Big time. You know, there's a song on that album called Playground. In the video, he's wearing a vintage 84 tour shirt. And, you know, young artists do a lot of any artist, but, you know, do a lot of signaling when they wear t-shirts and paraphernalia of, you know, older groups or even contemporary groups, you know. And me looking at it was the fact that he was wearing a vintage tour shirt, and I knew that it was vintage because the estate wasn't selling that tour shirt on their website, you know. Just told me something about him, because it's very easy to find a Purple Rain album cover t-shirt. You know, you can damn near find it in Walgreens, right? And I think that an artist like that, who lives in an alternative R&B world, but also does, you know, so-called mainstream R&B. He writes for other artists. You know, he produces for his own group, The Internet. He wasn't originally Internet, but he was brought in. It makes me feel like if Prince, as we know him, as we know the music, doesn't survive, and hang on a second, because I know I just used the word survive, but if it doesn't survive in the way like we're talking about, artists like him can still continue the desire to discover Prince.
Right. That makes sense.
On their own, on the listener's own.
Right.
Like we have discovered artists through Prince.
Right. Exactly. No, I agree.
Only reason I listened to Joni Mitchell was because Prince said so. Prince said he liked your album.
That's right.
Yeah. No, that's
the only reason.
I agree. And
so I worry and lament, but when I see, and that's just one example. I don't have like 50. I'm just saying that's just my example. But you know, but when I see and when I hear the music like that, where it's not a copycat, it's not an homage, it's just, this is me, you know, tells me a lot about Prince's survival, the DNA of what Prince represents in his music.
Yes, Kim's comment sums it up. The influence lives through the influenced.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that sounds like a special episode for the music stops and for podcast groups. I think podcasts. I mean, I really do. I think both of y'all should do, like, you know, separately, like a Prince DNA show, like a Prince tree show, right? I know in sports we're always talking about coaches' trees, but so yeah, I think that would be a great, because I'd like to see, because I think you guys, the reason I would say it, because you guys would know enough music that somebody like me would only know what's called the usual suspects. Like this guy, you give me Arthur, he's not a usual suspect. Mm-hmm. And so what I would like is that, and even throw in Prof Duff, you three would do like the unusual suspects so that people could really delve into and then start finding their way back. So that 20, 30 years, once people start backtracking, they will have you guys shows to say that. So there you go. Yeah, extra credit. There you go. And just one last thing, the DE68 this comment, not to start no mess. That's the best place for Moonbeam levels and not replacing Free on 1999. Let's move on.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So that was one thing that you guys talked about so much last week. But if I was if I would have been there, I was like, there's no way Moonbeam Levels is replacing Free off of 1999. That's not gonna happen.
But you know some people out there that want it. You know.
Oh, I know.
I'm right here.
There you go.
You don't have to talk in third person.
No. I mean, to be honest, you know, when 1999 first came out, I didn't dislike Free, but it just didn't move me because it was slow. It was slow for me in my teenage years. I was like, I don't like, what is this?
Did you say slow or low? Sorry.
Slow. Yeah, it's very slow because I'm a very up tempo kind of person. And the song I've been thinking about a lot, where we are today, is Free. Some days I'll walk down the street and I'll just start singing the words to Free. And freedom is probably my primary value in life, like freedom. And I got that from Prince. And, you know, because I listened to that 1999 album so much, teenager, it was so influential to me. I wonder if my value of freedom as a value for me was instilled in me because of Prince and because of that song in particular, even though it's not something that moved me at the time, but I was still listening to it. Right. So like maybe by osmosis, you know, it kind of, you know, got into me.
Right. And I'll just add for people in the chat who may not know this group, there's a group. They are a civil rights singing group. They come out of the SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. If you've never heard of a group called Sweet Honey and the Rock, so that's some listening homework for people. Go check out a group called Sweet Honey and the Rock. That for me, because I knew who Sweet Honey and the Rock was. So the first time I heard the song, I went like, oh, that's a gospel civil rights song. So that was my into it, is because I knew all that gospel civil rights stuff. Free for me was I went like, oh, Sweet Honey and the Rock. That's it.
So I know like a timekeeper, but I want to take a moment and we're gonna cycle back to Crystal Ball / Expert Lover. That song, I mean, to this very day, in real time, particularly when I got the bootleg, I was like, I don't understand. Like, why is this not out? B-side out. What? Like, I just, to this day, it still didn't get released during Prince's lifetime. He just like sat on that thing. And it was like it was for me in real time as a teenager, it was like watching a movie. It was so descriptive. It was so operatic, not in terms of opera, but just in terms of, it was, you know, so long. It took you to
like different movements in it.
Moves and I just thought it was like, oh my God, this is the best thing that Prince has ever done, and he's not gonna release it. Like, how is this possible? So for me, like knowing, you know, once I understood like how Sign of Times came to be, I still shook my head. I don't understand why Crystal Ball, and Crystal Ball did come out on Crystal Ball, but it wasn't the Crystal Ball. You know what I'm talking about? Like it was one that was on. It wasn't Expert Lover.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't the movement. It should have been it was the centerpiece. It was the name of the album. You know what I mean? That's why I really wonder how Sign of the Times, like the decision to make that be the centerpiece. Exactly. After what this was, you know what I mean? That's very interesting to me.
Yes, that's the whole point of trying to make Michael thing. You nailed it on the head. I was like, I don't understand why we got Sign of the Times when this amazing Magnus opus exists.
I have an answer.
Okay.
And it's the same answer I keep giving.
Uh-oh.
Message over music.
Yeah.
Every time when you come to these decisions, think about what Prince was doing. He was reading the newspaper, the earthquake, all those things we talked about last week. At the end of the day, and again, I know someone's gonna put in the chat, I'm not saying that the lyrics are more important in music. And I know people get that when I say that. But when you look at decision after decision after decision, Prince has always message over music. And what's crazy is Crystal Ball has a great message, right? Crystal Ball has a really great message about love and and living life to the fullest and all of those things, right?
But
it's not as literal as the message in Sign of the Times. Sign of the Times is an in the face, I am a political poet. Prince is punching us in the face with Sign of the Times. Like Crystal Ball, because the music is so great, because the music is the opus, right? The lyrics don't really hit you in the same way as the way what Prince did with Sign of the Times. He stripped the music completely down so that you can't run from, you can't avoid. Now, I'm with y'all. I couldn't imagine Crystal Ball not making it, right? When you realize that, oh, this was supposed to be, but it comes to whenever Prince is making a decision, he seems to always be, and that's why I always go back to his quote, that second Rolling Stone interview with the guy. He says, everybody's talking about Graffiti Bridge and no one's missing the lyrics. I should have put a lyric sheet in. That's why I think he chose Sign of the Times over Crystal Ball. Yes, the music is the magnum opus, but lyrically, it doesn't hit us in the face the way the lyrics to Sign of the Times. That's it. I'll shut up.
Now, see, I slightly disagree, but but that makes sense. And I'm not saying I'm right either. I kind of feel like he made Crystal Ball as a FU to Warner's, but I don't think they would ever come out and admit to that in public. But to me, it's like, if he's coming to you with his magnus opus, you know what I'm saying, 3-album, wild, Expert Lovers is all the thing, but Expert Lover, he's also putting in your face his sort of religious, spiritual beliefs in the lyrics, sneaking them in there a little bit, and saying the words, obviously not hiding them behind other words. I just think he was probably like, y'all not gonna let me do this. I ain't doing no video. Y'all have, here you go. That's how I kind of feel like he just gave that. And same reason why I feel like he was like, I'm not doing no tour on that. Like, I'm gonna do this, but nah, let me get back to what I was trying to say with Crystal Ball. To me, that's how I look at it. But I mean, again, I lived through Sign of the Times with you guys. So for me, I'm coded to, like, that's my favorite album. But I would not be surprised if he was really like, how dare them try to tell me my art? I'm going to just take a song that was just the song. A song that was Crystal Ball on Dream Factory. I mean, not Crystal Ball, Sign of the Times. Was Sign of the Times on every single? It was.
Yes.
To me, I just feel like he could have pulled any song and said, well, this is the album. Like, if you'd have said it's called Strange Relationships, we'd be having the same conversation. Oh, Strange Relationship. He's hitting you right there. Yeah, I mean, all his songs is hitting you. I'm not shitting on your stay. I'm just saying, but I kind of feel like it was just and then from that point, everything was almost like, they're not letting me do me all the way. I'm still mad about that. I'm still tight about that. But I could be wrong too. But I don't know, man. I just feel like Sign of the Times, we didn't get Prince that he wanted to give to us. We got to compromise.
So I don't disagree, but I'll do two things to kind of supplement what you're saying. The first is I like was, and so what we got was, we got Crystal Ball in two parts. And here's how we got Crystal Ball in two parts. We got the social political problem with Sign of the Times. So as I love as a kid says, Black community was in the middle of Reagan as president, gangs on the streets, teen pregnancy, crack, and also AIDS. Sign of the Times may be the first, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, Sign of the Times may be the first mention of AIDS in a popular song. I may be wrong, but I don't remember, right? And so, but then what else do we get on that album? We get The Cross. So Sign of the Times and The Cross, if you put them together, you get Crystal Ball. So but again, and so I think both of us are making really good points. And I think the ultimate point is we all wish Crystal Ball would have been on that song. But I do think that if you combine Sign of the Times with The Cross, you get what you don't get from Crystal Ball, which is the social political statement and the spiritual solution. And that is what Prince was always giving us. He would give us the problem, but for Prince, the solution was always love. It was always spirituality. So yeah, I like that you bring that upset. I like that you bring that in, and for me, that then allows us to highlight what we're getting into other songs. I'll shut up.
So I'm with you both, but I do lean more towards Michael Dean in that, there's this quote, and it's not verbatim, where Prince, is that you, Arthur, typing really hard? Because if you are, just mute yourself, because I can hear it. And there's this quote where Prince says that his most greatest songs are still in the vault. And I think, what Michael Dean is saying, it could have been an FU, meaning like, if you don't want it, I'm going to take my magnificent ball and I'm going to, keep it. So I could see, but I can also understand your point of view as well, C. Lee. Either way, I still lament that we didn't get Crystal Ball / Expert Lover in real time in some form or fashion. I just think it's a travesty. And I do think in terms of like the what if, the quantum realm, I think it's no telling where we would have gone. So one of the comments in the chat that I don't think I posted, which I think is really important, because I wanted to respond to something C. Lee said in terms of like the leaps from album to album, like in terms of Prince being a better musician and songwriter and all of that. For me, that is who Prince was. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, because we were getting, so much music in real time before the internet, before independent distribution, we were still really getting a lot of music. If you compare it to other mainstream artists of that time, in real time, we were spoiled. And we, obviously wanted more, but that is who Prince is. Prince was music. He, lived, breathes, ate music. So I do think that I really wish that Prince could have released something other than Sign of the Times, more specifically, or three albums Sign of the Times, because he had already had, like 1999 as the double. And we don't get a 3-album deal from Prince until Emancipation. And I think it would have been incredible to get that before Emancipation, because like for me, just like you, Arthur, from last week, there's one disc of Emancipation if I put my own playlist together out of the 3, versus if one of these incarnations of what we're talking about in terms of Sign of the Times, Crystal Ball, Dream Factory, that would not have been the case. It would have been like probably all 3.
Right.
Because the songs are so incredible, and it's musical growth and all of that. So I think this is a missed opportunity, and where I wish that the record company wouldn't have stepped in, because Prince was on fire in terms of just the quality of the songs and all of that.
Let me throw this last thing in, and I agree, he was on fire. He was out of control with it. I wonder if there would have been A&R or even if it was Alan Leeds or somebody that had Prince's ear to be like, dude, everything you're doing is just like, whoa, like they're not ready for this. But I tell you what, man, if you just took whatever your top songs, you would have one of the greatest albums of all time. Like, you know what I mean? Like between the Dream Factory, Crystal Ball, Camille, all that stuff. And it was like, you can do your Prince thing, you know what I'm saying? Where you kind of touch different types of genres, but you could also just do, like, if you wanted to just do like a super pop thing, or you just wanted to just do a black R&B banger that would transcend all of them. You have this thing. I mean, of all of these songs, man, you got something that is like crazy, but I don't think Prince would be the right person. This sounds crazy. I don't think he's in the vantage point to see it from his audience perspective, maybe, or from the record company's perspective to understand, like, yo, we can't tell you how to make music, but we could tell you how to sell it. That's one thing we do very well. Right. And we know how radio would work and blah, blah, blah. And we could hear you have everything that would set the game on fire. But the way you want to present it is the artistic way, which is absolutely great. But I could see why they probably just like probably pushing back a little bit. Like, yo, dude, this shit is crazy. What? Yeah. So I mean, because you got to think too, he's putting out albums every year, but his contemporaries aren't necessarily doing that, but they're having just as much impact on the game as he does. They don't have to put out an album every year. You know, they can drop, you know, Lionel Richie's going to drop Ballada or Peter Gabriel or some of these other people, and they're not dropping every year, but they're having an impact just as strong as Prince is. And I wonder what it would have been like if there was some kind of thing where you could be like, because that period is so crazy of material, man. It's like, what is the proper way to release something like that? You know what I'm saying? Where it's not too much for the audience.
Well, I think it's who you are. I mean, and forgive me for typing. I was doing it super fast because I was looking to see if Madonna mentioned AIDS on True Blue, her third album that came out in 1986. It doesn't appear that she did. I think Jodie Watley did in her debut in 1987.
Okay.
I don't want to type anymore because I don't want to mess. I don't want to get called out. But very quickly, if Under the Cherry Moon was a box office success, do we get 3 albums? I think so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You mean after Under the Cherry Moon?
Right. Yeah, like if it's a success.
Because he's recording this while the film's still in theaters.
Right.
So I'm saying if Under the Cherry Moon does Purple Rain or close to Purple Rain numbers, basically doesn't get dogged out. Do we get 3 albums from Prince?
Right.
Do we get an album with 3 discs from Prince?
I mean, a triple set. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Because I think the thing that people miss about pre-1999 is that while Prince wasn't selling mega albums, he was a critical darling after Dirty Mind and Controversy, right? So I think he had some critical cachet that allowed him to do a double album that maybe he didn't have the popular cachet to do. So I think that you can reverse it, that if Under the Cherry Moon is a success, he would have that same kind of cachet he had going into that. So yeah, that's why I would say, I agree. I wanted to, I'm gonna let's stop because there's one other thing I want to say, but I want to make sure I'm not cutting anybody else off.
Well, I mean, I do want to say this. I think about this often. So D'Angelo just released 3 albums. I looked at Sade. She recorded more albums than I thought she did, but like compared to a Prince or let's say a P-Funk, like I will take a prolific artist any day over a D'Angelo, meaning like I would have much preferred to have gotten more albums from D'Angelo than the 3 that we got. And I didn't even care if some of them were not at the level of the 3 that were released, because he had very strict ideas of, what he wanted to release and the quality of it. Because there's always gems in whatever Prince released, even if I wasn't like 100% on board. Like I knew, even if I didn't like an album, there was going to be one song at the very least that was going to blow my mind and really, like be the worth the price of admission. You know what I mean? So I understand because, I think I've heard other people kind of talk about this, like how prolific Prince was, and he could have done more editing. And at the end of the day, I want all the songs. I mean, even if I don't like them, because even if I don't like a whole song, going back, let's just Slow Love. The one redeeming part about Slow Love for me is the very, very end. It's so much better when we take our time. And then the horns come in. That's the only part. But it's beautiful. So it's okay. I can take the end. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't like this. I never liked the preciousness that D'Angelo and other artists like D'Angelo, because I feel like they are withholding their gifts to the world. Because there's, songs that only D'Angelo would have created. And I'm sure there's a lot in his vault that may or may not get released in the future, and I'm all for it. So I'm happy that Prince was as prolific as he was. Oh yes, thank you, Sakia. Lauryn Hill, one, if you don't count the MTV Unplugged, one album. And it's just like, that's me.
That's all you need sometimes.
So not to completely derail us, but I have to address at least one thing. And I want to say before I put it up on, as Prof. Duff says, we are a community, so we agree to disagree. So I'm finna highlight somebody, and I want this person to know that I'm not picking on you. I just need to vehemently disagree with your comment. So I know it's not a popular point of view, but Prince did refer to President Reagan as baby. Not really. He also playfully referenced in 1999, he wanted him to talk to Russia, America, PR. Okay. Brother Martinaire, this is completely wrong and off base, and I'm going to tell you why. The first thing I would say is you should watch Brother Ali's, give me his whole name. Give me Ali's whole name. What's Ali? Prof. Duff, Ali's whole name.
Zahir.
Zahir. Yeah.
Zahir Ali?
You should watch Zahir Ali's presentation on America. Because, see, we have patriotism wrong. Patriotism isn't, oh, I love my country. No, a real patriot challenges his country. America, the Prince's song America is not praising America and saying America is the greatest place on earth. If you're getting that from the song America, you need to go reread the lyrics. What Prince is saying in America is that, hey, it may not be socialism, it may not be communism, but it's damn near close. So Prince is not praising this. Secondly, Ronnie Talk to Russia is not a playful song. Ronnie Talk to Russia is a serious song. It ends with an explosion at the end. So when he's saying Ronnie Talk to Russia, you have to think of Ronnie Talk to Russia. Who remembers the Sting song, I Hope the Russians Love Their Children Too?
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand what Sting is saying in I Hope the Russians Love Their Children Too, that's what Prince is doing with Ronnie Talk to Russia. He's saying, look, if Ronnie doesn't talk to Russia, they gonna blow the fucking world up. So it's just because a lot of times what happens is we get caught up in the up tempo of a song.
That's right.
And we miss. Earth, Wind, and Fire. I can never remember the Earth, Wind, and Fire song where everybody thinks it's a great song, but it's actually a song about the underbelly of prostitution. It's the emotions. The song that Earth, Wind, and Fire does with the emotions. So anybody can remember the song that Earth, Wind, and Fire does with the emotions?
Boogie Wonderland?
Yes, Boogie Wonderland. Boogie Wonderland is not a happy song. Boogie Wonderland is a song about the underworld. So in all of those things, Prince was never supporting Ronald Reagan or never saying that no, he was making Prince was making real serious social political commentary, and to say that Prince was somehow chumming up to Ronald Reagan or Prince was somehow I think it's missing the point of Prince being a real patriot, saying you can say my country has problems and I love my country. Why? Because Black people have always loved the country that has never loved us. Black people have fought and died in wars in which they never liked us. Yes, you're right. You are absolutely right. Communism is just a word. It'd be the only word that's right. He's saying that the aristocrats in America is creating something that is bad as communism. I don't understand if you don't get that. He's not saying I'm anti-communism. He's saying that America is not far from the dictatorship because only the rich are eating and poor people. Little sister make a minimum wage, right? She may not be in the black, but she has shit. Look, that's not a song of glorifying. He's saying this country has problems, and if we don't watch it, this song is gonna go to hell. That's it. I'll shut up.
All right. So there is something I do want to address that Keith Upchurch brought up a long time ago, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on, could you guys see joy and repetition replacing slow love on Sign of the Times?
No. That's not honest. I mean, no.
I can see it on Sign of the Times, but I don't see it replacing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super tempting. I don't see it. I don't see it in the sequence because they would have to follow it.
Damn, y'all don't like slow love that bad? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of people don't
when
like
did this
slow
start?
Well, you know, you're not supposed to like everything.
love. Right.
Lower but slow. Okay.
So again, my response is this the same. I would not want it to replace slow love, but I wouldn't want slow love on Sign of the Times. Joy and repetition for me is really important that it is on Graffiti Bridge, because every time Prince has a song that's in the vault, depending on when he puts that song out, he tweaks it.
Right.
Yeah, it is a uh-oh moment, isn't it?
Right.
And I don't want no tweaking to the version we got on Joy on Graffiti Bridge, because I think is perfect. So I wouldn't want it to be on Sign of the Times for sure, but I don't want slow love on Sign of the Times. I never have, and I never will. That's something that won't change. I can tell you that right now.
I mean, it does fit. I'm not a fan of free, but it does fit in the sequence. So, and again, you're not supposed to like everything.
Right. Exactly. And to a point that you made, Brother Turnbull, about emancipation last week, and I thought about this. The cool thing about Prince being so prolific is that it gives us enough to pick and choose, right? Because we could have gotten the opposite. We could have gotten less and had less to pick and choose, right? So to Prof. Duff's point about Prince being prolific, the great thing about Prince being prolific is the quantity allows us to pick the quality that we love. If we get less quantity, then some of y'all may be stuck with slow love and lose a song that you don't.
No, that's a good point.
If we think about Prince being message over music, then you may really get some songs musically or sonically that you don't like, because he's going to push that lyric to your point. Go ahead, Brother Turnbull.
Well, no, going back to when we were talking about, artists and Prince's legacy, and I was bringing up Steve Lacy. You figure you've got these periods, the early years, the first 10 years, and then we get into the 90s, and then we get into the 2000s, and then toward the end of his career. There are so many opportunities for influences to take root. Now, there's some albums, one in particular that is absolutely unlistenable for me, but that doesn't negate the fact that could be somebody's Camille. You know what I mean? That could be somebody's deep cut album that they then draw from to influence their own way of doing things. And again, it just really just goes back to how I get so triggered by estate moves, because it just seems like there are these opportunities to really capitalize on the legacy in order to continue the legacy.
Right.
So I'm going to say a little bit about slow love, and I'll stop the slow love. So
final word, boy.
Final word. I wish we were podcasting in our teens, because if I was podcasting in the teens, I hated slow love in real time. Sign of Times. I'm not going back and doing revisionist history. I hated slow love, and let me tell you why. One, who is Carol Davis? That's what when I read, as soon as I would get my album, I put on my headphones, I'd be in my bedroom, I lay on the floor like Denzel Washington and Mo Better Blues, and I'll be reading the credits as I'm listening to the songs. And what's really great about Sign of Times, you do get the lyrics. They're so small, so you have to like really look. And by the time we get to Slow Love, I'm going, who is Carol Davis? I don't know Carol Davis. Why is somebody writing a Prince song? And then when the song comes on, I go like, he paid, and I'm talking about me as a teen. I was going, he paid somebody to write this song for him because I didn't know how it worked back then.
Did he pay them? That's the question.
Or did he pay them? I don't know.
If you ask her,
Or was it a favor? Was it, was it a favor? Have you ever seen Carol Davis? She was an actress.
Yes, I've seen her because she came out with her own album and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Now we get the hate.
There we go.
I see what's going on.
We don't want to talk about. Okay. So here's the deal. Slow Love as a song. Okay. Let me give you some context. I got into Prince, Dirty Mind Controversy, and then up until then we got 1999 when he was doing his electro funk. I thought of Prince as an experimental artist that was in the future pushing sound forward, and Slow Love is not pushing nothing forward. It is a formulaic song. It's a nice song.
Hey, I'm on your side.
But it's just like, this is not a song that Prince needs to be recording when he has everything else in his vault. You mean that you want to keep Slow Love on Sign of Times and all these dreams?
This makes the cut. I'm with you.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm not so like, I know you guys love Slow Love. You love Slow Love. I don't want to take that away from you. But for me,
right. I was with you. I'm with you when I heard it originally. And I think we talked about this. But when I saw it in Sign of the Times, in a live version, get out of here, man. A live version cooks.
And I will say this though, because I think you make a great point, Prof. Duff, which I think you make a great point. And it makes so for me, it's great because as somebody in real time who had the first two albums, Prince was being billed as, and I hate they do this to everybody. So we have to remember Prince was new, right? Prince was being billed as the next singer-songwriter Stevie Wonder, right? Prince was singer-songwriter. If you singer-songwriter, right? And a lot of people don't know that singer-songwriter was really kind of a new term that came out in the 70s. People forget that not everybody was writing their own songs prior to the 50s, right? So
I think it started with Carole King.
Yeah, exactly. Carole King, right. Like people didn't really know. So what's great about Prof. Duff's take, and I think what makes a lot of sense for a lot of people, yes, Dirty Mind Controversy, 1999 Prince is not writing Slow Love, right? So if you got on, right?
Nope.
If you were, however, somebody like me who's raised around the corner from the VFW, right? We shout out to the VFW love we gave a couple of weeks ago, right? So that the For You and Prince album could be played comfortably at the VFW, right? Could be played comfortably at the old belly rubbing old black folks place. So that for me, somebody who had gotten on those two albums, who then enjoyed Prince the Experimentalist, as Prof. Duff is saying, right? That dude is not writing slow. So when I heard Slow Love, I was like, hey, I got the best of both worlds. I got the experimental freaky dude. I got my old VFW friend I met back in For You. But I do think that Prof. Duff is making a really good point to. This is just how and we lose sight on. Prince challenged the fuck out of people. Like to be a Prince fan was really and again, I'm sure some of y'all can throw in other artists like David Bowie, and there's this guy, Todd Rundgren. A lot of people don't know who Todd Rundgren is. My father had a Todd Rundgren album. I hate that album so much, I begged him to put on Frank Zappa. Because I hated Frank Zappa till I heard Todd Rundgren. I was like, fuck it, put the Frank Zappa back on, man. My father thought Todd Rundgren was just, you got to hit, I don't hear no goddamn Todd Rundgren. So, but Prince challenged us. And so the first time I heard Around the World in a Day, even though I loved it, the first thought I had in my head was, my favorite artist don't give a fuck about me. Like, my favorite artist doesn't give a fuck about what I like. My favorite artist cares about what he cares about when he cares about it, and fuck you if you don't take the ride. And I fell in love with both the Around the World in the album and realizing that this is this dude's attitude. That's what I think the biggest point that Prof Duff is making about Slow Love is that Prince could be the dude that you would look at a song or a record and go, really? This? And it was because, and I'll end on this, I keep saying it, Prince was one of the few people who knew that human beings are pie charts with multiple slices. And there are very few people other than David Bowie and some other people y'all can name that experienced or explored all of their pie charts. So you could get a Slow Love and a It and a Cross and a Housequake all on the same damn record. I'll shut up.
I gotta say one more thing. This is really because I know I want everybody to understand what I'm really saying. What I'm really saying, if you've been following the reading, if you know anything about the Dream Factory, Crystal Ball configurations, there are so many amazing songs left on the cutting room floor that are what I call Prince songs, not written by somebody I never heard of before, in a very forward-thinking, experimental way, but we get Slow Love. I thought it was a waste of time, not only on the album, but also in the live show. Like in terms of Sign of Times Live, why didn't we get the Ballad of Dorothy Parker live instead of Slow Love? I'm just saying. So
you can say that about a lot of. I agree with you, but you can say that about a lot of songs too, though.
All right. Okay.
Slow Love. Damn.
And to your point, so many hits, so little time. And then he would file that statement and do a cover. That's what I would hate.
Hilarious.
Okay, we're gonna move on because the timekeeper is right. So who wants to read about, oh my God, one of my other favorite songs. Sorry, my camera went out.
Oh, okay.
No, you can still hear me though. So who's gonna read July 22nd? Not so psychedelic side, but yeah. Who wants to do that one?
I'll take that.
All right, let's do it.
All right. 3 songs. So Psychodelicide, Dixieland style instrumental, untitled instrumental that eventually became Easy Does It. Recorded at the Washington Avenue Warehouse in Adena. Also Chan Hansen at the home studio. Prince is producing, or no surprise there. It's Prince and the Revolution credited. Dr. Rogers on the boards and Todd Herman. There's a lot of material in the vault from live shows, videos, and recordings. That kind of stuff would be fun to get into and maybe revisit. Inside the band, there's a famous jam called Ice Cream. When Prince was in a good mood or when we were having a good show, he would sometimes just run to the microphone and scream ice cream. And that was a cue for us to go into this particular jam thing. There were lots of little things that we would do, and those kinds of things are really fun. Lisa Coleman. Since February, when the band wasn't on the road, they were in rehearsal, and Prince relied on the Revolution to be ready for anything, so they were constantly in peak form. He would always be recording, and he would get back to his studio, and he knew how to take that energy and then build on it, reflected Brown Mark. That was the whole purpose of having a group. He wanted that live, real, powerful energy that you could not get as a solo musician in the studio. It's hard to capture the energy when you play all the instruments yourself. Each long jam was essentially a live, high wire act held together by an intimate knowledge of everyone on the stage with him, and within that trust lived in the funk.
Let's get down to the bolded quote from Prince.
Okay. I have everything on tape, revealed Prince. including all the informal jams. I record everything I do just like Jimi Hendrix did, and eventually a lot of it will be released. You do not want me to read this next paragraph, right? About Soul Psychodelicide?
No, I do.
Okay. Soul Psychodelicide is an exercise that he ran with the Expanded Revolution, including Wendy, Lisa, Matt, Bobby, Eric, Mark, Atlanta Bliss, Miko Weaver, Greg Brooks, Wally Safford, and Jerome Benton, as they prepared for the 2 shows at Madison Square Garden and a tour of Europe and Japan. The jam is a portrait of where they were at this point. Despite the personal issues during this period, they were focused, spirited, and tight. Prince would not have it any other way. The title Soul Psychodelicide, which was mentioned in the lyrics for the recently recorded Joy in Repetition, may have been inspired by the Chambers Brothers.
Excuse me, Brother Turnbull. Mississippi native Chamber Brothers. Go ahead.
Their 1967 release Time Has Come Today, which includes the phrase, "My soul has been psychodelicide." Soul Psychodelicide was recording during the afternoon at the warehouse with full band, but after a break, another session took place in Prince's home studio, recalled Eric. The untitled Dixieland tune was done with Wendy, Lisa, and Miko, in addition to Bliston and myself, and I assume Prince was probably playing drums. Prince also recorded a 3rd track on this date, an instrumental that Eric would eventually name Easy Does It. The guitar, bass, and drum track would also include leads on the horns and flute. Congas, cowbell, and timbales would be added to the track as well. The Dixieland style instrumental was an entirely different song than Easy Does It. It has no title, adds Eric. In fact, I actually took the song and messed around with it. I took all the horns that were on it and I put new horns on it and then decided not to use it anyway. Status: Soul Psychodelicide, 12 minutes, 33 seconds, was mixed, edited, and overseen by Prince, but remained unreleased during his lifetime. It was included on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Edition in 2020. The instrumental would be updated by Eric Leeds as Easy Does It, 2 minutes, 24 seconds, and end up on his 1991 album Times Squared. The song was also called 22 when it was being considered for one of the never-released Madhouse 24 collections. The untitled Dixieland track remains unreleased.
So before we get into the really important stuff here, I got a question. Has anybody heard this untitled Dixieland instrumental?
I haven't.
Because, and I only want to hear it because as a Southerner and as a person, I want to know what they call it Dixieland music. I just want to know what all these Northerners, like, what's their take on? Because I'm sure somebody like, this sounds like some of that old Dixieland shit, right? So that's the only reason I want to hear it, is because I want to know if I'm gonna be offended if they said this sound like this in there. So let's talk about the good stuff to talk about in this passage.
Okay, I agree with local art here. It says, I always thought the track dedicated when Elise and Susanna in this better screen was a play on the ice cream he used to use as a cue for the revolution in his best ice cream. So anyway, I don't think of this as Soul Psychodelicide. I think of this as ice cream.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And it bothers me that this is Soul Psychodelicide, the title.
Right.
That's all I gotta say.
I would like the bolded part. I like because I can't remember who said it. I wish I remember who said it. It was a condescending comment that Prince recorded everything like it was important, right? And so I really love we got this bolded part that Arthur read, that when Prince said, I have everything on tape, including all the informal jams. I record everything I do, just like Jimi Hendrix did. And eventually, to me, that's important, because if Prince wasn't recording everything, we wouldn't have this stuff now. And I think that the person who made that comment, they were making it that Prince was recording stuff because he had an ego, right? Prince was recording because he thought everything. No. What he didn't understand, whoever this, and I don't want to, because I remember that Prince truly understood the creative process, that you keep everything because tomorrow or next week or next year, you don't know what you can use. And that's a lesson to all the young creatives, right? As somebody like me, who I keep fragments of poems, I keep fragments of short stories, I keep fragments of essays, and I have them all log somewhere, and I'm really like I'm really organized about what I do, is because I never know when I'm writing about something that I may have an idea and go. So I'm glad we got that quote, because no, Prince wasn't just recording everything because he had a great ego and thought everything he did was great. It was part of the creative process, because I can tell y'all as somebody, Brother Dean, Brother Turnbull, I had a poem that everybody loved that I never typed. I only had the written version of it. It was about my father and my uncle. My father didn't like the poem, though he did, but he didn't like the poem because I was like saying some things about him and my uncle. My father, when my grandmother died, my father buried the poem with my grandmother. I didn't know he did that. I just thought the poem was lost. And then years later, after he did that, he asked me, he said, "What happened to that poem that you wrote about me and your uncle, man? I used to tease you. I really liked that poem." I was like, "Man, I lost it, and I never could find it." And he got this look on his face. He said, "Oh, damn, I buried that poem with your grandmama, boy." And he said, "I didn't know you didn't have it typed." So for young creatives, record, save, keep everything that you create, because you never know when you'll use it. I'll shut up. I'm sorry for going so long on that.
It's okay. What say you, Michael Dean, about Soul Psychodelicide Ice Cream?
I don't have much of an opinion on it. I enjoyed that they put it on the deluxe edition. I don't really listen to it that often, to be truthful, but I think it's cool just to have it in context. I think I've heard of different versions of it as well, but it's cool to me. I always find it interesting, when Eric Leeds talks about taking tracks that Prince did or that they had worked on and then sort of interpreting them. I would wonder how people would feel if they did something like that today. And if it was Eric Leeds, for instance, hey, I'm going to do a new Madhouse, but I'm just going to take, like I did the other ones, and take his music and put my stuff on top of it and put it out. I would love to hear that, but I could see how some people may take offense to that. But to me, it's like that's what they've always done.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, because a lot of Times Square, with the exception of Lines, which is the only song that was written solely by Eric Leeds, which is actually my favorite song off of Times Square. And I get blown away that Prince wasn't involved with it. Only not because Eric is not capable, but it sounds so Prince-like to me that I can't fathom that Prince is not on it. But because I thought he did an incredible job, and based on what we've read in Dwayne's book, and I cannot wait for the Eric Leeds book to drop, which Dwayne is also co-writing with Eric Leeds. I'm so ready for this book. I think he did an incredible job of taking like the basic structure of the songs that Prince had and making it his own for Times Square. And, based on what I read, it sounds like Prince was also okay with that, because, in certain instances, Eric would ask Prince, like what he thought about the song. And, Prince is a man of few words, so I don't really remember what the actual response, but essentially it was, "You got it," I wouldn't change anything about it. And that's like really high praise from Prince, someone who said that when he went to concerts, sometimes he couldn't stand it because he was rearranging, like the arrangements as he was watching other people perform. So I'm still hoping and praying that the estate will release another volume or couple or 3 or 4 more volumes of originals. It's like my favorite post-Prince project that has been done in terms of like studio recordings. And I would love to hear like these basic, the Prince tracks of what became Times Square. I think that would be like incredible. So at the top of the hour, we played, Easy Does It. And so I want to know what this original instrumental was before Eric got hands on it. And, I would die. I would love that. That would be so, so incredible.
There's only a few musicians that we know of, he allowed to do stuff like that.
Right.
You know, Wendy and Lisa, obviously.
Right.
There's only a few. Yeah. And then put it out.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So anything, Arthur, you don't want to say anything about Soul Psychodelicide / Ice Cream?
And I'll make sure to be brief. I do think that it's interesting to hear how these interludes were worked out, because the parade show, the continuity of the songs in between one another were buffered by these kinds of interludes and these kinds of breaks. And the revolution at this point was a bit of a weapon, because they were so elastic in being able to do these changes on a dime. And I think it really fit the motif of the tour. Very simple staging, you know, not a whole lot of choreography, because everybody was almost like packed together, you know, gave a certain intimacy to those shows, be it club or arena, because we haven't even gotten to where he's doing after shows in this period yet. So yeah, I think it's cool. I didn't think we needed a whole 10 minutes of it, but nonetheless, we really got what we asked for when it was like, give us everything. Well, this is an example of what everything looks like.
Got an originals question, because I'm not blanking.
Yeah. Just really quickly, I just want to say thank you to El DeBar for putting this memory of Ricky in the chat. Thank you so much for that. Go ahead, Celie.
If I'm remembering, because I don't listen to it as much as y'all, on the originals, those are all songs Prince wrote, did the demos and the guide tracks, but were actually released by somebody else, right?
That's correct.
Okay, because I was thinking about the new Timeless record, but I think Tick Tick Bang makes it not that. Could an originals record be under what they've set originals up to be? So we say the original series, and all of us want more original series. For it to be in the vein of the original series, would it always have to be songs that Prince did the demos and the guide tracks, and then somebody else released? Or could it also be a song on there where it was an older song that Prince completely revamped? Would that destroy the concept? Okay, so that would
be like versions.
Okay. No, I'm with you. That's why I wanted to know, because I was making the joke about Timeless being a botched originals, but since
it's versions. So I do want to pull up this comment from Modern Era, because I disagree with it. And again, we can agree to disagree, which is I think it's fun to see the original series, but most songs should end up on the albums that were belonging to the Super Deluxes. And the reason why I disagree with this is, if they would re-release all of Prince's other albums, you'll get it. So for me, Vanity 6 is a Prince album. Apollonia 6 is a Prince album. The Time is a Prince and Morris Day album, but a Prince album nevertheless. So I want if they were to remaster, let's say Vanity 6, the Time records, and then put the original Prince versions side by side, I'd be down for that, but I don't think that's going to happen. So since that's not going to happen, I would rather have some of those songs released on originals, because, and I don't want to get into a can of worms, because I could go another whole hour on this. When it comes to the Super Deluxes, they never include all of the songs that you think they should include for that particular era. And then going and doubling on what Celie just said, and I've said this before, when you get certain jazz box sets, and Arthur can back me up on this, they will have version after version after version after version on jazz box sets. Like Sarah Vaughan is like, I love Sarah Vaughan box sets, because they'll have take 1, take 2, take 3, false start, all of that. Like if we could get that on the Deluxes instead of the edits, and I know someone in the chat is going to type in, we need the edits. No, we don't need the edits. We do not need the edits. So if we could get rid of the edits, but I don't think Modern Era, I don't think that they would include all the songs that I would want on the Super Deluxe. Therefore, I think they should continue the original series because I don't think they're going to do what I want to do, at least not in my lifetime. Re-release Vanity 6, remastered with Prince's version, re-release All the Time records with Prince's and Morris Day's versions, and remaster the records and all of that. That's what I would want.
Right.
Yeah, and there's precedence for this, particularly with James Brown. You know, the JBs. I had these when I was a teenager, but I found them digitally now. The Funky People compilation albums by James Brown. They should do that with Prince. So all of the joints that he did with everybody else, compile them again. Whether they come out physically or not, sure they could, but they're not going to put everything out, but at least make them available for people to listen. They should do that. They don't cost them that much to just add them to the already albums they have listed on these services. You know, I fell into a Curtis Mayfield the other day, and it was a whole thing. It was just called Curtis something. It was like a compilation. It kind of looked like the Superfly album, but it wasn't. But it was just full of alternate takes of some of his classic songs, instrumentals, radio ads, all of that. I didn't buy it, but I love it. Like I listen to it all the time. It's available to me. It's from a different era from what I was listening to music, and it's made available. So I think they could do that with Prince easily when they get to that point. I don't think right now they're chasing bags. I get it, but at a certain point, they got to put this stuff out.
I love this title, LTKK, Jamie Starr and Friends, the box set. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for that. All right, so we are down to our final reading of the day, and I will do it really quickly. Friday, July 25th, 1986, The Ball, tracking overdubs mix, Cobo, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Kim. Let me know, because I pronounced it wrong last time. Cobo Hall concert from June 7th, live video, the birthday concert, audio sweetening. I love that. Sweetening the audio mix. Washington Avenue Warehouse, Edina, Minnesota. Producer Prince, artist Prince and the Revolution. Engineer Susan Rogers. Assistant engineer Todd Harriman, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. All right, Jerome Ben quote. There's many times where I'm sitting with him and we would talk, and he would come from a scenario with a band and he would be frustrated and he would say, I wish I could just put my brain in their head. That's Jerome. You had to be as good as him, if not better, because he wanted you to make him work, explained Brown Mark. Plus, he was a real disciplinarian. As always, Prince expected everyone around him to be available 24/7. It was nonstop when they were calls. I've said this before, but I think it's a really important point. This first comment from Brown Mark, you had to be as good as him, if not better, because he wanted you to make him work.
Right.
Now, one of the best quotes I've ever heard is from the filmmaker Robert Rodriguez. And Robert Rodriguez did a double feature with Quentin Tarantino. It was like Death Trap, or I can't remember what the other one was. And Robert Rodriguez was being interviewed. Grindhouse, yes, thank you. So Robert Rodriguez was being interviewed, and they were asking him about competition with Quentin Tarantino, and he was like, "It's not about competition." He said that he wanted to show up and be good for Quentin. Like he wanted to be just as good, on the same level. And I thought that was one of the most brilliant things I have ever heard from another artist. And I think it's really, and that's one of the things I try to tell my students, you want to show up for yourself first and foremost, like when you're creating something, but you also, if you are in a community, and in my case, like a classroom, you want to make sure that you show up for one another and you bring your A game so that you can feed off of one another and level everybody up at the same time. You're leveling yourself up and you're leveling everybody else who's in that room with you. And I think that is so important, and one of the points that Brown Mark is making with this quote. Does anyone want to speak to any of that, or just want to continue reading?
I think you hit the bullseye. Go ahead.
Okay. Lisa and I got to a place where if the phone rang after 2:00 in the morning, we wouldn't answer it. Because it was inevitably always him, and he'd be like, "There's a plane ticket for you leaving at 7 a.m." And we're like, "No." He could stay up for a week with no sleep and a manic phase, just eating Toblerone. I love Toblerone, by the way. And everybody else around him had to keep up with that, and they weren't manic. So mind you, by that last year, we were like, it's got to be more than $800 a week. Once the band ended rehearsal, Prince recorded the basic tracks for the ball by himself. The Fairlight heavy companion piece for Crystal Ball started out with Prince playing a real drum kit, and he decorated the song with bass, finger cymbals, clavinet, backward guitar, and a variety of percussion instruments with a collection of crowd and party sound effects. He added 2 tracks of his own lead vocal and placed an effect on a second vocal pass that he referred to as Space Voice Harmonizer. During an undated future session, background vocals from Susanna and claps and background vocals from Wally Safford and Greg Brooks would be recorded. It is possible that these and the segue of party talk were added at some point during a band rehearsal the following week. The song included a shout out to Sheila E. with the phrase, "All for one for all, fun for everyone," from Sheila's song Romance 1600. The song also contains other references to his music, including Train and Crystal Ball, as well as what was likely the first allusion to peach, part of the color scheme that would be used for the Sign of Times release. Prince also oversaw audio sweetening of elements from the birthday concert recorded at the Cobo Hall in Detroit. The show had been edited, and he embellished some of the vocals and instrument sections with help from Eric, Atlanta Bliss, Dr. Fink, and Brown Mark. Source, the ball. That's weird, instead of status. Source, the ball, was placed on Crystal Ball, but eliminated when the collection was reduced to the 2-disc Sign of the Times release. It was reworked in 1987 and re-Christianed, I know, 5 minutes and 47 seconds for his album. Elements would also appear in It's Bees Like That Sometimes, which he'd record on October 11, 1986. The Ball and It Bees Like That Sometimes were included on the Sign of Time Super Deluxe Edition in 2020.
Teacher. I just wanted to say The Ball is one of my top 5 Prince songs, period. It's like,
Really?
Yeah, that's to me, that's the funkiest, strange, like when we argue for songs that came out, man, I wish they had to drop that. I just think that for me, it would have blew my damn head open. It just seemed like a whole different vibe than he had done before. It's just dope, man. It's just the rhythm of it, the drumming, the percussion. It's a party jam. I just think it's fantastic, man. And this is one of those songs, along with Expert Lover, Crystal Ball, where I just feel like he was about to go on a whole other phase. You hear sprinkles of it in Sign of the Times, but to me, that was just a different level of funk, and it was like swamp or something. It's hard for me to get it, but it's ridiculous to me. I still listen to that heavy. And then the other thing I just want to bring up, this whole thing with the Detroit show and the audio sweetening. Thank God for Prince and the audio sweetening, because for me, I grew up on watching Prince on TV. What I mean by that is watching, Purple Rain, obviously, watching the America video, watching that Detroit show when it finally hit bootleg. And when I listen to those now, and even the Sign of the Times movie, I grew up on a Sign of the Times movie, and now I can listen to that, and I know that all of them got audio sweetening going on. Right. And that was his thing, was to take those live performances and add some funk to them, or add these little bits and pieces. Let me get on that guitar. When the America video, when the guitar breakdown, that ain't Wendy playing. That's Prince coming back after the fact, adding that jam. If you really pay attention and look at it, and you know how she play, that ain't her. And you can hear them. There's a lot of vocal audio sweetening going on a lot of these things, that if you really listen to it, they add so much to it, but it's not the original recording. And he does this all the way back to Purple Rain, the album, taking these things that he's done and adding the stuff into it to fatten it up or whatever it is. And that's just something that he's always done. I love that. I don't know if he did that on his later stuff, some of these home releases like that, the year 2000 home video release. I don't know if they did Sweetening there or the one from the musicology era, but that earlier stuff, the audio sweetening prints, like love it. So
And I'll just add to that part. There's a great video. I was trying to see if I could find it, but so if you go back to the 70s, and the 70s is the heyday of the live album, right? Mm-hmm. And so as a child and then later a teen, right? So some of the major live albums, Kiss Comes Alive, Peter Frampton Alive, right? And then we learn later about the audio sweetening. And of course the Kiss Alive, there's a notion of how much of that album is actually right Kiss. So it's funny for you. I just find it interesting that you had that take, because in real time, if you go back to the 70s, people like really upset that happened. Like people were really
right.
But I guess because those were albums that were also kind of putting those groups on the map. Like Kiss didn't really pop until that Kiss Comes Alive album. And even Peter Frampton that album took him to the next level. So it's funny. It was just funny for me hearing your take on that. So I know Brother Turnbull has got about not being bothered as much. And I will say this, because I want to say something about the ball. I will say that's been the only reason why I haven't been 10 toes down for Sign of the Times being the greatest concert commercial, because I don't know how much audio sweetening happened on Stop Making Sense, right? And Stop Making Sense is the one that everybody kind of holds up.
Yeah.
So
Talking Heads, right?
Yeah, so I'm always, if I know how much audio sweetening happenings I can't remember it's Stop Making Sense, and then I do. U2 has one that's put up there. And,
Rattle and Hum, I think.
Yeah, Rattle and Hum.
Yep.
So Rattle and Hum and Stop Making Sense. And I think Sting, the one for the Dream of the Blue Oyster, whatever that damn album was.
Yeah, Dream of the Blue Turtles. Bring on the Night.
Yeah, Bring on the Night. So those three, what I need to know is how much audio sweetening happening for those three before I can stand 10 toes down for Sign of the Time. That's the only reason I don't say it's for me is because I know that. Now the only thing I want to say, I agree with everything you said about the ball. And this kind of gets back to what we were saying. I'm always amazed at how much I can love the ball, love I Know. And to me, it's a testament because they are simultaneously the same and different songs at the same time. Yeah. Like it's two completely different listening experiences.
Right.
Yet it's the same damn song, which is the other thing that I love about Prince is when you hear Prince live over and over and over again, he was reinventing songs over and over and over and over again, right? I always talk about the 2009 version of Little Red Corvette at the Monterey, right? Also how he plays Little Red Corvette in the Sign of the Times thing. So that's my thing about the ball is I'm just always amazed that I get the same song with two experiences, and I love both of those experiences. All right, I said, go ahead, Brother Turnbull.
Yeah, Funkadelic would do that also.
Yes.
And even the Earth, Wind, and Fire's Gratitude album, there were overdubs on that to sweeten it up. And now, reading this, and mind you, I'm gonna be cool, but I'm like highly, highly, highly triggered that here we have a birthday show that was ready to rock. But when I read this, but my first thing was, oh wow, he was thinking about doing a live parade album.
Yeah,
here's an option.
Yeah,
to set up, because otherwise, why take the time to do that?
Right.
I do think that I don't really have a horse in the race of how live albums are added to, because I think there's a little. we've all been to live shows, but even more, a lot of us have collected over the years a great deal of live concerts, you know, and there's a soundboard version that I'm sure we all prefer, but then there's the audience version, you know, which we may prefer much less.
I'm actually an audience version person.
Okay, there you go. And so I do like how the Prince sets would include a concert. And in some cases we have a concert video and then we have a concert, you know, audio that's either coming from soundboard, but even then it's probably cleaned up a little bit, you know, balance the mix out. And I hope that there is a continuation for that. But I also hope that, say in the case of a Parade deluxe set that may come out, I do hope that even if there wasn't a soundboard version of the show, that other things may be considered as well. You know, I forget when they did this, but the rock band Metallica, who are in the position where they're curating their own legacy and releasing box sets of their earlier albums, their first album, I believe it's called Kill 'Em All. They did an interesting thing that I'd never seen before, where it's like, I think it's like 5 or 6 discs, but the last disc is their first known concert. And they were able to source the tape from it, but it was made by a member of the audience. And they threw that on in there, cleaned up as much as they could. But when you hear it, you're hearing 1983, you know what I mean, in the room recorded stuff, people yelling and screaming, and the audio is in and out and high and low. Like you're hearing that. But what gets added is that you've got that early energy. And bringing it back to Prince, some of those after shows that we have, those early club dates in the Parade tour, are just like, they're just gold.
Right.
And it's just a whole nother, an after show is just a whole nother vibe than the arena show, especially when you see the arena show and then you see the after show. It's just a whole different type of energy. And these are the years where Prince was making his legend of being a live performer, a can't miss, tickets selling out in 20 minutes performer.
Right.
All of the stuff that we know about the last 15 years of Prince's career, this is where this stuff begins, to the point where, you know, I've talked to young fans, and they didn't know that Prince played guitar, or if they knew they played guitar, they didn't know he played drums, or they didn't know he played bass. They saw some picture of him playing the piano. They didn't know that because they've always seen him as a front man.
Right.
You know,
go ahead, brother.
Well, I was going to say, I see Chris Bournet's thing about technology in the 70s, and it made me wonder what do live albums sound like today? Because a lot of these live shows are playing with, you know, pre-recorded and click tracks and pre-recorded background vocals and stuff. So it'd be interesting. I wonder what live albums today sound like, because the live show you're seeing is already so produced, you know, sonically. To sound like that. I'm curious how that would translate to, I guess, today's live shows. Live albums would sound, they would probably sound sonically better, I guess, because the live performance itself, you know, has all these background things playing already with them playing live, which Prince and these groups that we're talking about, they didn't have that back then. You wasn't playing to no a computer or anything like that. You had to play, you had to sing, you know. And just wanted to throw out there, we were talking about these classic live albums. You ever heard the Jay Giles Band? I know.
Yeah.
I only know of Centerfold and Freeze Frame.
What?
I was in Seattle.
So you don't, the next question. So you don't know them before their lead singer, before they changed lead singers?
I didn't know they changed singers.
So
but go ahead.
Just real quick, my aunt that you met in Seattle,
Yes.
she loves a J. Kyle's fan. So
And I understand why, because
And, wait a minute, brother, I'm gonna let you make your point. But to your point, the album with Centerfold and Freeze Frame on it,
yeah,
that's when their early fans said the band sold out.
I can imagine.
But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, because I'm on Apple Music, so I'm looking at stuff that I never would have purchased, and I don't know if you could find it physically anyway. But I found their live album. They had the Full House live album.
Yes.
And I'm listening to that. I'm like,
yes.
So this is on some R&B, like rock. I'm like, this is dope as hell. Like, how did I not hear this? But again, it's just my point to say, here we are generations later. I'm bumping this right now. Like, this is my joint. You know what I'm saying? Do I listen to their albums? No. I knew a couple of hits, but this live album in 2026 is fire to me. Like, I love it. So
to your point, J. Gal's band was what we call a rock and soul blues band, bar band.
Mm-hmm.
And their fans felt like they sold their soul to MTV with Centerfold. I
can see that.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love that album with Centerfold and Freeze Frame. And there's another song on there. Flamethrower. I tell everybody, go listen to the song Flamethrower by J. Gal's band. It's on the same album with Centerfold and Freeze Frame.
Okay.
But everybody, all their core fans felt like they sold their soul for MTV with Centerfold. I don't agree, but that's like so. But to your point, the thing that always kind of, I want to say this correctly, not necessarily upset me, but I kind of gave a side eye to about the Sign of the Times live thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were told, y'all correct me, we were told that there was some problems with the recording of the with the audio, and that's why they had to come in. And my only thing to that was, we have great sound board of Prince going back all the way back. And I just always thought it interesting that you don't have a great live show of this concert, of this tour, that you don't have to do as much sweetening from, when we got all of these. You see what I'm saying? That we had a history of great Prince live, like all of us who were collecting bootlegs. So that just the reasoning of it never set with me that for a whole European tour, you couldn't have found that was just always interesting to me. When we know, go to I don't want to go to D68A's channel, go to some other channels. It's some great live stuff. So that I just wanted to just look at that sideways.
You know what it could be?
Because of this. Go ahead, brother.
You know what it could be, though? I mean, the way that we listen to that, I'm sure is very different the way Prince probably listens to it and hears it. I mean, you as an artist, you got to know. You might write something, be like, but I might read what you said. This is the best thing you ever did. How did you not like this? Right. So I could imagine, is such a stickler that he is, he might be hearing little notes and things like, I could have done that. We could have did that a lot better. Let me go and add this. Brown Mark was tripping, you know what I'm saying? Let me throw this on here real quick. I could see why he may not think, maybe the whole entire show wasn't great for him. Maybe it was just these couple of performances in that show. So let me grab a performance from this one and throw it in, or I'm gonna go back in here and add some parts and make this hot. I could see that from an artist's perspective. I could see, he may be very critical of what he's listening to.
And somebody bringing up, it may have been the visuals. So it may have been the visuals. So that's maybe because they actually are performing to the audio. So I stand corrected that it was the visuals thing. So that's a whole nother.
Yeah, but the audio is heavily sweetened again.
Okay. Yeah.
If you listen to the 4K version that came out, and the mix is a lot different. You can hear all the stuff. Like there's chanting and stuff that they're saying I could never have heard before. So there's a lot at it.
And I would say that for me, there needs to be a balance. So that's the only reason I said, let me be clear. If there's a soundboard, I want the soundboard. I want the soundboard. But what I like about audience recordings is a lot of times when they give us the soundboard, it sounds dead because you don't hear the audience. And I think Prince is the kind of artist, he fed off the crowd. Like, so for instance, the two things that I think that they really got right in the Sign of the Times live video was the crowd's response to it Like when Prince is going to church with it, and also you get a little bit of it in Going to Be a Beautiful. It's Going to Be a Beautiful Night. So I think they did a really good job. So for me, I need to hear the audience reacting, because Prince was the kind of artist who fed off that. I'll shut up. Y'all go ahead.
But I was gonna say, if you listen to, I want to say specifically, Gonna Be a Beautiful Night, that crowd noise is fake.
Right. Exactly.
You can hear it's him and the rest of them. They're actually saying stuff the crowd would have never known to say back to him, like "Thank you, no, thank you." You know,
Right.
this kind of. But it adds to the ambiance of it, though. It sounds dope, though. And I think too, you got to remember, at least for me, Prince, the way it was seen. I might go back to Purple Rain, the movie. The way that it's shot is like you in the audience watching him. That was the whole. That's what made it so intimate to me. Like that point of view, and I think Sign of Times mimics that point of view. The cameras in the audience perspective, watching it, not like some big dolly shot all the time coming from the thing. So to me, that was a part. Like that crowd part was what made Prince exciting, because you felt the energy of the people. And watching him interact with it, it was just like, you know. So I think when you listen to it, to hear the crowd cheering like you do on the Purple Rain album, that was a part of it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that mix in the theaters,
yeah,
that was something else. That's what made the movie for me.
Yeah,
because the Parade tour never came to the U.S. Because the Sign of the Times tour never came to the U.S. I mean, I remember a good friend of mine, we went early to see the film, not necessarily expecting a certain thing, but definitely not expecting the level of rearrangements that were going on. And once we got to Housequake, our mouths just dropped. And we came back that night to see the whole thing again. So that's kind of why I say it's like, you know, I don't necessarily have a horse in it in the race of if I'm mad, you know, that you know,
look,
they went back in and maybe tightened some stuff up.
Look, to be clear, I've said this before. I saw Sign of the Times 60 times in 30 days. So whatever, you know, whatever my feelings is, the dollar movie had the 7 o'clock showing and the 9 o'clock showing. Me and my friend Ricky Graham, shout out to my homeboy Rick. We saw Sign of the Times 60 times in 30 days. In fact, on the 15th time, dude stopped charging us that $1 to get in.
Oh, the dollar show? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
we were paying full freight, whatever that was at the Century Theater.
$6, $7.
That's what we were on. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it left like the regular movie theater. It left after like a couple of weeks or whatever. Like it didn't do, and it went immediately to the dollar movie. And luckily for me, the dollar movie was down the street from Jackson State, round the corner from my house. So like the dollar movie was literally less than 5 minutes from my house.
A quick question. What do you guys think of the live concert mix on the Sign of the Times Deluxe?
I like it. I haven't thought anything bad about it.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was fine in a good way, not in a, you know, midway.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of wish that they would have selected another show, but I don't want to go down that.
Here we are.
Hole. So
that made the cut. Yeah.
But I'm glad we got a live show on on the deluxe. So I know I'm going to be mindful of time, particularly for my West Coast brethren, Arthur and Michael. We're just going to go like 10 more minutes.
Nobody care about them. Now let's move on.
If you guys need to leave.
I'm good. I'm actually good.
Okay. All right. So one more thing so I spoke at Pop Conference 2024 and I've been Googling and I can't find it, but there is a guy who wrote a book about live albums. One specifically, you know, he covered Talking Heads, Peter Frampton, Kiss Live. If I can track that down, I'll share it with you because I've always wanted to read that book because I think there was a lot of sweetening going on with all of these live albums. So because when I saw his talk was essentially these live albums weren't really live.
Right.
So I think it was still even the case for Talking Heads, but I could be wrong. So I need to try to figure out who the author was and all that because I think that would be a really fantastic book to read because in the 70s in particular, like live albums were the thing, you
Yep.
know. And I really wish that we would have gotten like a live album from Prince in real time, like early on. Like that's, you know, because I grew up with my uncles and aunt, and I was surrounded by all these amazing live records. When I got into Prince as, you know, like an early teen, I was like, "Where's my live album, Prince?"
Exactly. Yes.
I was so used to like Ozzie Hayes at the Sahara, you know, like where's my it never was. So that's something I really wish would have happened.
What's to derail it, if you can, even if it's just 2 or 3, what's like your top live albums, period? Top of your head.
What, like the group around the table?
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a second. I'm just gonna throw mine in here real quick. George Benson, The Weekend in LA, I think it was.
Yeah, that's it.
These may not be the best, but these are the ones I love. That one, Erykah Badu live album. I really love that. D'Angelo, Jazz Cafe.
Yes.
Lastly, Raphael Sadiq. It's a double CD. I can't think of the name of it right. House of Blues.
Yes. So one of mine is the reason why I'm like stalled is there's so many that I love, particularly when it comes to the Doors, and the Doors are amazing for releasing live concerts on vinyl. So like the go-to for most Doors fan would be, you know, the Doors live at Hollywood Bowl. Okay. But there's so many more that you can choose from. The same with Jimi Hendrix. Like there's so like, you know, there are proper Jimi Hendrix like live so like for me just I guess in my era, because you're talking about the Doors and Jimi Hendrix like from the 60s and
well, it could be anything, whatever.
But I mean, I really do love the D'Angelo live at Jazz, you know, the Jazz Cafe is.
I just bought that for somebody, a younger brother. I gave it to him on vinyl. He was like, "What?"
Also, the Erykah Badu live and the Jill Scott live. I was really, yes, early on. I think they released it either after her second record or maybe even her first record. It was early on, and I was super impressed that they released. You know, it was like when she was on Hidden Beach Records, like her first.
Yeah.
And I thought it was extraordinary that both Erykah and Jill both released live records proper. You know,
Maxwell, I got to throw that in there too. Maxwell,
yeah. A more recent one is Bilal just released one like maybe a year ago, which is awesome, and they have video footage of that one, which is really great. So there's like so many, and of course, yeah, Rodney has a really classic one, and one that I don't listen to because it's just too painful for me to listen to. Is Donny Hathaway live at the Bitter End. I listened to that as a kid, and it just made me depressed. But I loved it so, but it just brought my energy level down low. But it's a fantastic record for sure.
I got to throw to Jackson's. Was it Triumph Live or whatever that? Yeah.
So on that, now let Brother Turnbull go last. I will say this: this is not my top 3, but so I'm gonna start with one that's not my top 3. I saw both the Triumph and the Victory Tour live, and not only did I see the Triumph and the Victory Tour live, my uncle had, show you how I date myself, had the reel-to-reel of the Triumph tour.
Wow!
And I want to say this to people. I'm not capping. I'm not a music, like my audio, like Brother Dean and Brother Turnbull and Prof Duff and Big Sexy. I'm not an audio person like that, like this. I will say this: if you've never heard audio on reel to reel,
oh yeah,
that's that. I can't even explain to you what audio on reel to reel sounds like. So I just have to give a special shout out to the fact that having seen the Jackson show live in '81, having heard that reel to reel, I have to get that but my top 3 would be, and again, I'm not gonna act like I didn't love Peter Frampton Comes Alive. It was wonderful, but Parliament Funkadelic in Houston in 1976. That that blew my mind. Somebody put in Band of Gypsies. And I will simply say that Sign of the Time sneaks in just past. It sneaks in just past B.B. King at the Regal and James Brown at the Apollo. If you really want to know why James Brown thought B.B. King was the baddest MF to ever live, go listen to B.B. King live at the Regal. If you want to know why Jimi Hendrix said that B.B. King was the greatest guitar player he ever heard, go listen to B.B. King live at the Regal, and that'll be your answer. I'll shut up.
So I don't consider Sign of the Times a live album.
Right. I mean,
yeah. So I mean, if it was a live album, it would be at the top.
Right.
Audio sweetening.
Right.
Since it was released, right. I don't consider it. So,
right.
But yeah.
So then, like I say, then it would either be if I take Sign of the Times out, it's either gonna be B.B. King live at the Regal or James Brown live at the Apollo.
There's some great titles. I'm taking notes.
A stupid hot take. I could see Prince being the B.B. King for a later generation in the same way where I respect B.B. King and I grew up with that. My older people in my family playing that. But in my mind, it was such grown folks type music that I never really sat down into for myself. But I understand the effect of it and the ramifications of B.B. King. I could see Prince coming into being the same way to some kid that's being born today. And he's just a legend in their mind, but they didn't really listen to it.
Honestly, I'm taking notes, but I really just have one. It's an album by Herbie Hancock called Flood that came out in 1975. It's just incredible.
Whoa. I just found a Herbie album yesterday, man. I don't know if it's that. Was it from Japan or something?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's
where he's got he's got an astronaut helmet on it. So it's a painting.
Just listened to that for the first time yesterday. Amazing. Yeah.
All right.
So thank you for that question. Yeah, you took us all down memory lane with that question.
Yes. So I'm going to try to work through this as quick as possible. So far in 1986, there have been roughly 89 studio sessions, 43 new songs. This is a song list, but we don't have time for that. Really quickly, I am extremely excited about these two new albums. Mohini Day, which is one of my favorite bassists right now, just released a new album called The Day Way. You can get it on Bandcamp, but you can't get it on vinyl or CD. However, the album next to it, which I do not like the cover, is Willow's new record. And what's really great is called The Thread, is that on Mohini Day, they do a collaboration, Mohini Day and Willow. And it's like one of my favorite tracks on the album. I'm waiting to get my vinyl before I listen to Willow, so I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm really excited about it.
Will Smith?
Yes. Willow Will Smith daughter. She is an amazing musician. And Mohini Day, if you don't know who she is, just do your Googles, as Michael Dean would say. She's a phenomenal bass player. And Christina, I'm excited for you that you get to see Mohini Day at the Dakota. Incredible. I love that.
Never heard of her. What kind of music is Mohini Day?
When I think of Mohini Day, I actually think of prog rock, but it's not prog rock. But she's like a phenomenal bass. And the reason why, let me say why I think of prog rock, is because she does a lot of time signature changes in her songs. Like she'll go really fast and then she'll go like really slow. If just listen to like the first song off of Day Way, and I think it is The Day Way. I think you would actually love it if you love bass. And as a Prince fan, I would think that you love bass playing.
Let me ask you a question about her. And I'm asking you a question about somebody I can't think of his name properly or pronounce it properly. So hopefully I get close enough that y'all music people know who I'm talking about. I didn't know about Mohini Day till you turned me on to it, and she reminds me of the bass player. Was it Jocko Pex? Jocko, what is his name? The bass player that a lot of people love.
Pistorius.
Yeah, Jocko Pistorius. She kind of, they're not the same sounding, but when you introduce me to her, I think about him a lot. Is that a good?
Yeah, that's a good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to speak to this really quickly. So I think that Mohini was co-signing Suno, which is like an AI music making app. But I have seen Mohini live several times. She is actually playing the bass. So just because she's endorsing a app doesn't mean that she can't play. If you've seen her perform live, which Christina is going, you will know that she's actually playing the bass. I'll put some of the shows that we've seen in the chat. In the accompanying playlist. But she is a phenomenal bass player live, and that's the reason why I want to promote her music. And it's also music that speaks to my soul personally because it's super fast. Like, and so like I miss drum and bass, which was 170 BPMs or more. And that's what I get from Mohini. It's just like modern day fast music. So if I don't want to get out of the bed or I don't want to go to work, I put on some Mohini, especially this album, I'm getting out of bed or I'm getting my butt out the door because it's just like she can really play. So, yeah. So go ahead.
But no, go ahead because I want to cut you off about Mohini. I just wanted to say one thing once you get through that.
I mean, and the thing is, like, I think it's really important for us to support real music by real musicians because, and especially live music. So both Willow and Mohini are phenomenal live performers. Since we're talking about live albums and all of that. And it's important that we continue to support music because music is being devalued in our society. And I still want musicians to make real music and to perform for us. So that's the reason why I'm talking about a real musician. Okay.
I saw somebody put something in the chat and it made me think of a concert. And you know, like when you were young, that was something you liked when you was young, and then you got older, you didn't want people to know you liked it or whatever. And but it wasn't an album, but it was a concert. And when I saw somebody put Diana Ross in Central Park, that HBO special, like as a child seeing that in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's never seen that Diana Ross in Central Park, the whole thing, then the rain comes down at the end and she's singing Reach Out and Touch Somebody. With all of the stuff that happens and goes on, I think people have forgotten what a phenomenal goddamn performer and entertainer Diana Ross was. And so that's it. If YouTube got it, Diana Ross in Central Park was a seminal concert that I think more people need to see that because her legacy and because of whatever the kind of person she was supposed to be and all that, fuck all that. Diana Ross used to bring it. I'll shut up. My bad, y'all.
You're in rare form today, sir.
I know, I'm sorry.
All right. So really quickly, another artist that I think is really important to support is Alice Smith. If you don't know Alice Smith, if you saw Sinners, she sings the last song in Sinners. But if you relate it to Prince cover Another Lover, Another Love, on from Alice. So Another Love is Prince covering Alice Smith. I prefer Alice Smith's version because I heard Alice Smith's version first. And in the accompanying playlist, I have a couple of shows, one from Joe's Pub and one from DC, of her performing her version of Another Love from the Groovement 71 YouTube channel. So if you want to see the entire show, just go to Groovement 71 on YouTube, and you can see that there are a couple more shows in New York at Joe's Pub. Joe's Pub is an amazing venue to see live music. It's very small. The sound is incredible. And if you haven't seen Alice Smith and you want to see someone at the height of her craft, she is a vocalist that just has an incredible control over her vocals. It is really, really incredible. So I hope you'll check out the couple videos that are in the accompanying playlist to get a sense. And if you're local, you should definitely come see Alice Smith. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. So
I see you, Prince.
yeah. And
that's my man.
and then I saw her last week in DC. She had her original the piano she normally plays with in DC, this guy named Dennis Ham. She has a different pianist in New York, so you can compare and contrast the two pianists on the two songs in the playlist. Just
Quick question.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard, the only Alice Smith I've heard is What You Turned Me On to live. So I've watched her on the Groovement show.
Yeah.
Are her albums just her and piano? Or are her, okay.
No.
So, okay.
No.
So
and to be honest, she just started recently just doing the piano and a microphone.
Okay.
Just because it's so expensive, to travel with the band. But I've seen her at least 25 times in my lifetime. Like I saw her a lot, if not more. I see her like anytime she performs, I try to get to her no matter where she is. And she used to have a full band, the whole 9 yards. So, yeah. All right. And I'm almost
Reggie.
done. What's Reggie talking about?
I got Reggie. That's sorry, Playboy. I got you.
Look at if you go to the Groovement channel, you understand what Brother D talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, Groovement 71. Go to Groovement 71. There are several Alice Smith shows there. I will say this about Alice. When you go see Alice Smith live, she's one of the few. How can I say this without like blowing up the chat? She is a woman who dresses womanly, meaning like it's actually, speaking of Diana Ross, she's very much in the lineage of how she looks when she performs in terms of, having on gowns and, really like dressing up when she performs, having her
femininity,
Yeah.
Let me break it down to you. See, I wasn't gonna say nothing since Prof Duff didn't open up the door. Hey, Brother Dean, Brother Turnbull, Prof Duff got me in trouble in my household. Cause I'm watching the Alice Smith performance, and my wife walked through the living room and she said, and I quote, "You ain't listening to no goddamn music," and kept walking. That's all I'm gonna say. So go to Groovement 71 YouTube page. Just go to Groovement 71 YouTube page. You gonna get some good music and some good visuals. That's all I'm gonna say.
Jill gave me everything last night.
There you go. I was in the doghouse for 2 days behind Prof Duff. Thank you, Prof Duff.
I'll be in the front row.
She like, what the hell kind of music is this?
Yes. Okay. So if you want some feminine energy, Alice Smith. That's all I got to say.
Hey, I love it.
All right. So I want to give a shout out to the Electric Vibe. I mean, they're amazing podcasts. They've been like doing the work, working it like a job, and a couple of recent shows that I want to point out. They're also in the company playlist. They talked to Eric Rogers about the 11th annual Paisley Midwest Party that I'm super, super excited about. Eric Leeds and Atlanta Bliss together again after so many years. And then they also have a conversation with Robbie Pastor. So if you haven't checked out those episodes as well as more, please do and support the Electric Vibe. And they didn't pay me to say that. I'm saying this because
salute to Electric Vibe. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're really doing it. They're really like talking to people that aren't talked to a lot. So I really love that. I love this, Vanessa. Thank you. Alice is gorgeous and elegant. Yes. And I also love Tina Turner Spain live. Thank you for that. And this is funny. Okay. All right. And really quickly, we just spoke about this. This is happening in August 21st to 23rd. And then we want to honor the life and legacy of Miss O. So it would be really great if you could help out with the GoFundMe. It could be $1, it could be $5, anything that you can help with her daughters and family. That would be amazing. If you ever met O, trust me, you remember her because she was just one of the best people, period. So we really miss Miss O. And then there are several GoFundMes. I'm not going to talk a lot. Hopefully everyone, because we talk about them every week. And if you do your Googles, as Michael Dean says, and you've steeped in, the Prince community, you should know who Jackie Thompson is. And Jackie has a GoFundMe. She's recovering from lung cancer. And then Rich Benson has a GoFundMe for, unfortunately, the sudden death of his wife. And Eddie Durant, who was very critical to the Purple Rain Clubhouse, which is still available and it's still amazing. If you haven't heard that fan rendition, they did the entire Purple Rain film. Like they reenacted it with sound effects and everything. It's really phenomenal. She's having issues literally like walking, things of that. And that's the reason why it says get back on her feet. And then we're so grateful that Troy has his cancer's gone into remission again, which is fantastic. So anything that you can do to support him, buy his art would be incredible. But if you don't want to buy his art or can't, afford to, you can help him out with the GoFundMe. Or if you can't do that, just send him a kind word. And then the same with Dr. Funkenberry, his cancer battle continues. Please send him a kind word, contribute to this GoFundMe if you can. And the same for Des Dickerson. And like I said, there's a lot in the accompanying playlist. You can listen to He Does It Again. You can listen to the Cobo Hall. D68A has several versions of the Detroit show on there. One of the things that I've been listening to is the back when the Sign of Time Super Deluxe celebration came out, we did 5 Saturdays, which was a precursor to What Did Prince Do this week. And the reason why I'm re-listening to it are we're actually talking about some of the same songs right now in Dwayne's book, like The Ball and Bees Like That Sometimes, Walking in Glory, all these songs that we've been talking about. So I wanted to kind of revisit what our conversation was like. Actually, Ricky was, I think, on all of them, if I remember correctly. And C. Lee and, Camila, my triplet, joined us at a couple. Harold, joined us. Arthur was there on, so like a really great conversation. So I put in the 2nd out of 5 because it covers Vault Tracks 2 and it talks about the ball in that one. And then we have the couple Electric Vibe podcasts. This is Alice Smith from Joe's Pub, Another Love, and this is from the DC show, Extroverted Soul, which Mohini Day's song featuring Willow, and then Willow's single, which I haven't really listened to because I'm waiting to get the record and before I actually listen to that one. So, and we also have a playlist for Ricky, in case you miss his voice like I do. No one talks like Ricky, and I miss his cadence. So sometimes I just like to listen to him. And if you can, please donate in his memory to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. And this is a bit.ly link, The Flesh, because that's one of his favorite sessions. And we made it to the end. And before I have Michael Dean take us out, because I'm so happy just to say, Michael Dean, take us out. I just want to say thank you, Michael, for joining us today, and Arthur for joining us today, and Celie for joining us. I do not take any of you for granted. I never know who's going to be here when I show up. It's a surprise. I love that. And I just want each one of you to know that I do not take it for granted that you're spending your time, which is our most valuable commodity, not money, time, with us today. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yay. And with that being said, Michael Dean, take us out.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if Arthur, did you want to say anything before we wrap it up? Or
No, I did it last week and it was fun. You got it.
Oh, okay. Celie, your last words, Celie?
I just want to say, Brother Andre, depending on if you're talking about ice cream soul psychedelicide, that's on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. And if you're just talking about the other soul psychedelicides, it's out there. You can find it.
I love it.
That's it.
All right. Well, again, thank you, D'Angela, for hosting this every week, allowing us to come on here, take a reprieve from the rest of the world, and get back into some of our fun that we had back in the days and as we have today. Salute to everybody in the chat, old and new, who is here, who supports, who shouts out the show, who participates in the chat every week. Salute to Modern. There's always somebody that will come with something that might be a little hot take than everybody else, but man, that's what keeps the show lively. So
Yes.
I want to say salute to you. And yo, working like a job. I'm out here about to go see this Odyssey movie and see what it's all about.
Ooh, you gotta report back.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Hey, and when you get a chance, read my piece on colorblind casting.
Okay, got you.
All right. Peace.
We'll see you next time. Peace.